Hello. Yes, we're live here. I can't believe it. What time is it? It's late, isn't it? It's
Qu-
21:14,
Yeah,
quarter past 9 nearly. We're here. We've had problems with StreamYard, but we're here. We're here. Yes, we are here. So, well, that's good news, isn't it? Well, I guess it is. Um, so, welcome to Delboy. Um,
yeah.
and well, um, I want to say before we get into any questions or anything, I've looked at your channel, and you're two. Um, you need two to get 200.
I know.
So come on, everybody, please. Uh, uh, yes, please. We would really love you to. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe to Delboy. That would be fantastic. It really would. Um, I've got a comment. Yeah, there is somebody here. Anyway,
If you
before I
build it,
go,
if you build it, they will come. That's all
yeah.
I got to say.
So, so on this stream, I want you to ask anything you want. It can be movies or films or whatever you want to call them. It can be music. It can be anything. Nostalgia. You can talk about what it's like. Anything you want. Just talk about it, and we'll just ramble on and hopefully and enjoy it. So
Until you're bored to death. Yeah.
please comment. We've got Physical Media Live. Hello, Tammy. Hello.
Hello.
Ian, you okay? Adele. Yeah, we're fine, aren't we? Considering.
Yeah.
Considering, yes. We're doing all right. Yes, we've got here. But it wasn't me cocking up. It was StreamYard. I've got verification here. It was StreamYard. It wasn't me. Right. Uh, here's a question for you. How old is Dell?
20.
20. It doesn't look a day over.
I had a bad lot. I had a hard knock life. No, I'm 55.
Yeah. And I'm, well, you probably know that's why you're not asking me how old I am. I'm just an old bugger. A 63-year-old bugger.
There you go.
Few months, I'm going to be 64. Ah,
There you go.
yeah, I know. Time flies by, doesn't it, when you're enjoying yourself?
Of course, according to the government, that means absolutely bloody nothing, does it? 'Cause, I mean, by the time I get to retirement age, they'll have added another couple of years. I said, "Oh, you got to work a couple more." Oh, have you? All right.
At
Cheers.
the moment, I've got 2 years. It will be when my birthday comes. It will be 66, but it's a good job. It's not exactly on my birthday. It's 2 months after, so it'll be in August 2026. I'll be a pensioner. Yes.
Passport and everything.
And believe it or not, I actually be better off financially, so I can't wait for it to come. I'm just waiting for it at the moment. These years are just terrible, but when I'm then, things will be a bit better, I think, for me financially. But
It,
anyhow,
it,
that's
it,
another
it,
story.
it's funny. It's funny because my dad never went bald. He went just grey around the
Yeah,
sides. And I think that I'm probably just going a little bit. There's a few like Tipex
yeah.
sort of like streaks that are just
Uh,
starting to
oh,
appear. I've got a full head of hair. Look, it's not
yeah,
there.
yeah. You're doing
Um,
well. Yeah.
so you know,
At your age, I was definitely in full throttle mode of definitely. It's been
looking at my
going
face,
since.
I do apologise if there are any ladies here, but I had a shave really. But
Yeah.
I sort of like got here and went, oh, I better get online.
I thought you were younger than 55, Del. There you are. Where's the
Well,
compliments? You
that's
are
very
really
very
not.
nice. That's very very nice.
How much did you pay?
You know what I mean?
Uh,
So
you don't look 64, Ian. I won't retire. Well, I'm not 64 yet. I'm 63, but in a couple of months, I'll be 64. Yeah. And
I don't know if
if
I've still got my.
you see the light shining on this head, it's shining.
I don't know if I've still got it on here. Have a look. Oh, God, bloody hell. I want that. I used to have on my phone an app called Countdown.
Oh, great!
Right? And what I did was I put in when I reach a certain age, which I put 72, and it counts down to my retirement age. It says countdown to retirement age, and it says something like 17 years, 36 minutes, 42 seconds, 10 nanoseconds.
Oh God!
And it counts down.
Yeah, well, I can imagine.
Everybody at work says I'm sad, and I go, look, I tell you what, that clock, as soon as it says 0, I'm out of here. I ain't going to be working here. I tell you that, I'll be off.
For me, my countdown is my mum's death. She died at 73. So that is my target. Hopefully, I can get past 73. But if I can't, that's only 10 years. I have to say that. And she was diabetic like me, so it's that pass it on. So hopefully it's jump past. And my brother, of course, has got away with it.
It's funny you say that because my granddad died at 76 and my dad died at 78.
Yeah.
My nan, which is my dad's mum, on that side, she died at 74. And that's all my dad's side, and I'm 55. So I do look at it and go, it might be. Yeah. And that whole side, by the way, suffers from blood pressure, and my mum's side doesn't. My mum's side is different because he was adopted. And her mum and dad, my granddad and that, basically they died when she was at childhood, but in an accident on the road. Yeah. So I don't know much about that side of things. So I can only really go by my dad's side's tree, dad's tree.
Well, I have to look for my dad as hope because my granddad, who lived with us and are really close to my granddad, he died when he was 87. So that's something. And my dad died when he was 90. That's the only hope. That's what I have to try and convince myself. But the thing is, neither of them had diabetes.
Yeah,
right.
But I'm looking at it like this. In 20 years' time, they're going to do head transplant technology. Yeah. So basically, I'll be all right. We're going to chop my head off and put me on Arnold Schwarzenegger's body. So I'll be all right because that technology will be around in 20 years' time.
And if there's a third world war, at least I might miss it. That's the only other thing I've got to
somebody
look
asked me, did you see? Somebody asked me that question, and they said, do you know what? If there is a dystopian future and basically a nuclear war does happen, do you really want to be a survivor? Because basically everybody's going to be a mutant. You're going to be spewing. You're going to have spores all over you. I must say, kill me now.
Yeah, I think, I've got that's positive. Yeah. So physical media says I don't have much hair. Well, it's just a thing, it does happen, I'm afraid. Do you have any pictures of when you were my age, Ian? I probably have. Unfortunately, they're not on this. I think they're on. My dad, he before he died, he converted he was a keen photographer, going right back to developing his own. So I've got lots. And I carried on. I've taken quite a few photographs over years. How old are you? Tell me. I probably could find some.
I'm just looking to see if I can find any pictures myself, but I don't think I can.
I will have. I'm sure I have. If it was after I was married, I didn't take as many, but I have got some probably with my son when he was growing up. It depends what age it is. I don't know. And there's even photos without a beard as well.
Bloody hell!
That came back when I'm 32, 33 this year. Now, when I was 32, 33. Yeah. My son was born. I may well have had a beard. I don't know, but I could probably dig some out when he was about 2 or 3 year old. I'm sure there's some pictures of an old bugger holding him. He was dead. Yeah,
You're an old bugger.
yeah. I was still an old bugger then. I was a librarian. You see, I was a librarian. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I'm sorry, I haven't got any on this. I've probably got them on my these things that you insert in drive things. I've got quite a lot of them, and yeah, I will have some because I did take, but not like my dad. My dad was just an avid photographer. It was him that got me into film, really, from such a young age. Real young age. Without my dad, I don't think I would have seen all these things. I mean, Zulu. I know I go on about it, but without my dad, Zulu. What a film! I always feel kind of proud now that was the first film that I saw. It's good. It's like you see a really terrible film, you're not quite as proud about it, but it's really bad one or something. But Zulu is a good quality film, so it's nice to know that was my first one. So, what was yours, Del? Again,
what's that?
What was your first film that you remember going to the pictures to see?
Oh, I think I mentioned it in my blog. It was going to be one of the ones that I went to kiddie cinema with, like a Saturday
I
thing.
remember that. Yeah,
and I think it was a Disney one, and I think it was a double bill of Aristocats and Robin Hood.
Well, they're pretty good films, so they're a good start. At least they were a good start.
It was a bit of a mix, you see, back then, because what you have to remember is that I saw lots of things like Meteor, Excalibur, Seven Voyage of Sinbad. It always had one of those Flash Gordon.
I remember the Flash Gordon, because I didn't go to as many, I don't think, as you, because I was going to other cinema. My dad would say, "Oh, come on, we'll go along to main cinema." But I did go to some of them showings. And the Flash Gordon, I remember that. That must have been on virtually every cinema. They just had them every week, didn't they, as a hook? So to see it to come back. And he was always in peril, wasn't he? And that's how it ended. It was really good. Anyway, it's what if you think about it, the Batman did the same technique, didn't they? Because they do them in two parts. The 60s Batman. Same time, same back channel. It was great. Wonderful.
Very much so, yeah.
Right. We've got Tony Bayek. I've been waiting hours. Yeah, very good evening. So
I've been waiting hours.
Honestly, it's StreamYard, Tony. It's not my incompetence. It really is.
You wanted to be this side.
There was loads and loads of. Anyhow, we won't go into that. Me attempting to get through. Let's have a look.
I can't find any of my family. I found loads of my statues and all sorts of things. I can't find all
Is it on the floppy disk? No, it's on like I've got these what do you call them? They're not the they're just like you plug them in.
USB stick, a memory stick.
It's before memory sticks, I think.
Oh, an SD card, what, a card reader?
It's just it's like a rectangle thing. It's like this sort of size, and you plug it in, and
it's an SD card reader.
Is that what it is? I don't know, but I put quite a lot in there.
I don't know if this helps, but
I've got them in other rooms.
When you buy a memory card, you get one of these little blocks. These look, see, look there.
Yeah. I get you. Yeah, I've got some of those little sticks now, because what I do with sticks is put them in telly, so I can look at me stuff in telly, and it looks bigger and better.
Yeah, you've got what they call a PCMCIA adapter, and it goes into
my TV is all smart TV. I don't know how I lived without them before. Everything's plugged into telly. Anyhow, Tony says Zulu. Yes, Zulu. Yeah, I know you're a big fan. You're a massive fan of Zulu, aren't you? And Physical Media Live says hi, Tony. And Evening Physical Media Life. And I walked out of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire last week. Was not great. You actually walked out. Blimey heck. You know, I don't know. I don't think I've ever walked out of a film. I don't think
Oh
so.
yeah, but we know why that is. We know
Yeah.
why that is. That's because up in Yorkshire, you're all tight. If you paid for something,
You're bloody right.
you're gonna watch it. You're gonna watch it to the end.
I paid for this.
That's it. I've paid for it. I don't care how crap it is. I'm gonna watch this.
Exactly. Watch every bloody second of it. You're right, actually. But no. But yeah, I mean, I understand if it's really bad. I can. I've not been to cinema for years, basically. But if it's that bad, I'm really sorry. You know, you pay a lot. I don't know how much you pay nowadays, but it must be. Is it a tenner or so?
Well, that's a difficult subject, really, because there's so many of them that offer movie club. There's so many that if you're on Sky, you get 2 free tickets every Tuesday, and then you've got the rates during the day, and then you've got the rates at the
we used to have
that. The evening.
Yeah.
So you can go as little as a £5, but I think they're as much as 12 or 13 quid. And if you go to an IMAX theatre, it's 25 quid plus. So
wow, 25 quid.
Yeah, but that is an IMAX
luxury.
Theater.
Luxury.
To be quite honest, the IMAX theaters are gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I guarantee, I gather that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire wasn't very good. What was wrong with it? What was?
I've seen it. It's one of those ones where I didn't go in listening to the critics, and I didn't go in listening to what all my friends were saying.
Yeah.
And so I came away going, that's a bit of a disappointment. But I didn't look at it from a different point of view. Like, I was expecting a Bill Murray film, and I didn't get a Bill Murray film, so I'm bloody slating it.
Yeah.
But it's too much of a family setup film. You know, it's like too much. There's too much of the setting up of the new characters, and it's like they bolted on the old characters onto it. There's a sort of parting farewell sort of thing.
Is Sigourney Weaver in it?
No,
she isn't. Oh, I love Sigourney Weaver. What? Oh dear.
So what you have to understand about it is it's sort of like a lot of people were thinking that this was going to be like Ghostbusters 3.
Right, yeah.
Right, forget all the other Ghostbusters, like the all women one. Forget the last one where it was sort of like a next generation Ghostbusters. They were expecting this one to be Ghostbusters 3 because all of the advertising showed Bill Murray and Harold, you know, except Dan Aykroyd and all of that, and it looked like the gang was back, but it's not that at all,
isn't it?
No, totally not that at all.
Why do they do this with remakes and things that come back? They can't get it right. I mean, all the business we had with Indiana Jones and what have you, and nobody seemed to like that at all. I can't. Well, no, somebody might like it somewhere, but the majority of people do not like it. It's got a certain style, the way it is.
I'll tell you what.
This is it.
This is the best way to. I heard this from Keith, but I'd already thought about it myself. And that is, it seemed very much that they made the new Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters that's just gone, around the merchandising toy line rather than making a film, right? So where Ghostbusters was a film as a film, and they did the merchandise afterwards. It's almost like they did this from a merchandising point of view and built a film around the merchandising. Because there's all the little marshmallow men and there's Slimer and all of this sort of stuff, and the car and the vehicle and all of this. And it's like they bolted that all in, knowing that there's a toy line, a poster line, a game line, all just being done right now. And the film, therefore, became second. Didn't matter about the film because we're going to make a shitload of money from the merchandise.
Oh, crikey. That's Typical, isn't that typical? Let's see what else. Ghostbusters was disappointing as they had just bleeding it out with waste of space characters like
Yeah.
other shows. That's a good point, I would imagine. Yeah, I mean,
It's like I said, where people were going in there thinking it was going to be a Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd film. It ended up being
yeah,
these kiddies and them grow. You know, these kids are supposed to be sort of like in their ages of like 16,
yeah,
15. So of course they're talking about having acne and all of that sort of stuff. It's all
right,
about growing up.
yeah,
I'm just saying, I don't want that. I want a Ghostbusters film.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I think most people were pissed off about.
We should have Ghostbusters 3 back in the 80s.
In other words, the Ghostbusters 3 should be more in line with what the 80s film is. We should have had it also. We should have also have had it made in the 80s.
Do you know? Have you noticed that when we always say that it should have been like the 80s, we're never going to get it. It's like, you know, all the great horror film remakes, and
if you think about Ghostbusters 2,
we're never going to get back the 80s. They won't do them.
If you think about Ghostbusters 2 anyway, it comes up right as a disclaimer, right at the beginning, 5 years later.
Yeah.
Because it was made in what, 1987?
Yeah.
So it actually says 5 years later.
Yeah.
If you had 5 years to 87, you wouldn't have got it in the 80s anyway. It'd have been in the 90s. But
yeah.
You weren't going to have a film the next year. I can tell you that now.
No. This is interesting. Have there really, over recent years, been any, what we could say, outstanding remakes or ones that are follow-ups? I don't think there is that many. I know some people said
everybody at the moment is talking June, aren't they? Everybody at the moment is talking June as probably the best thing.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking this year? But I don't know whether it's going to be good. In June, my great month, there's a film coming out called The Watchers, and it's by Ashana Shalaman, director, and she's the daughter who's been the second unit director and done videos of M. Night Shyamalan. And I'm quite a big fan of his. And I
know that you're a big fan of his. I find him very mixed.
Yeah, I know I'm a big fan of his. And of course, he's got a film coming out in August called Trap. And if it's as good as Knock on the Cabin, then I'll be really happy. I nearly said that word. I don't want to say super excited because I don't get excited that much. But I'm hoping, you can hope, can't you, that I'm going to have something decent this year, some decent films. And but I know a lot of people don't get on with him, but it's just me. For me, he's done about a couple of really bad films, and the rest I've really quite enjoyed. You know,
there was that one.
The Happening gets a lot of criticism.
There's that one in the cabin, isn't there? There's
that was the last one, the cabin one, and I really enjoyed that. I know it was quite obvious what was probably.
Well, that was the horses in the apocalypse, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was really well done. I thought the performances were excellent.
Tell me something. When you were watching that film, do you think because if I remember rightly, and I've only watched it once, did it really need a gay couple and a child going to a cabin? Couldn't it have been just like a mum and a dad and a child? Do you need all this?
I didn't really go think of it like that. I just enjoyed it. I thought her performance was really good. And
it's just a question. I've got no problem with it. It's just, what I'm trying to say is, if somebody was writing this, do you think they purposely went, I'm going to go down the route of saying, right, there's this couple and they just happen to be same sex and they're going to have a kiddie on board and they're going to be going off for a cabin in the woods as if it was normal. And all I'm going at is that seems to be sort of like being pushed at me. Was it natural
I don't know.
That, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or do you think the studios have to? You see, the studios have to do something to do with diversity and everything.
I get you there. I do get that, but I tried to get around that. I didn't think it was quite as, dare I use that word, pushed. What I tried to do is put it in the context, as I often do. People say, "Oh, a film is far-fetched," and what have you. I just say, "Oh, it's in that film's universe." It doesn't matter to me. I don't go. My mind doesn't sit there analyzing or get worried about what people do, because then people start saying, "Oh, that's weird." Sometimes I think weird. So I like weird. Sometimes I think, yeah, it's fine. But how I took that film, I just accept it as the film. I know what you mean about the tick box of diversity and all that. That maybe was an example for me. It didn't seem as heavy-handed, but I can see it'd be interesting to see what the new one is going to be like. Trap. It will, because if it is following that sort of thing, then it will be interesting. I'm hoping it won't be.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying, to me, when I saw the trailer for it, I just went, have they purposely done this or what?
Yeah,
because it seems everywhere I was looking at that particular time that the trailer dropped, I'm being forced to watch something where it had to have somebody in a wheelchair in it, or it had to have somebody.
I get you. I get you.
Color, and I was going.
That is the problem of modern filmmaking. The ticking the boxes. I think that's why some of these things don't work. And I'm hoping that it's like Old before it probably had a few tick boxes in it, but I don't think maybe it was seen as much as the Cabin one. So I'm hoping that it's going to be okay, but we'll see what happens. So I've got Tony here saying, physical media life. I saw you got Chisholm with John Wayne, one I've seen on TV. It's based on the Billy the Kid, Pat Garrett story. Oh, right. I don't know much about Westerns, but I know Tony, you're into them very much so. Tony York, I found it for 50p. Looking forward to watching. You did well there. And if you're to watching it, have you seen it? And Tony says, hey, Del, you're outnumbered here. 2 Yorkshire men present, lad. Hey, bye, heck. Hey.
I'd be outnumbered with one. You see what I mean?
Ghostbusters reminds me of the 2016. It was
that's the women. That's the old women one.
Is it? Oh, I've not seen that. £6.50 for a cinema ticket. I suppose that's pretty good, isn't it?
That sounds like an afternoon showing, if you see what I mean.
I mean, when I went, God, you can tell how long ago it was. We used to go probably Monday afternoon for £1. I saw loads. And if you went another day, it was probably a couple of quid. So that just shows you. A quid, I thought, was fantastic. Yes, and it was even better when there was hardly anybody in cinema.
Yeah, but was that a pound? Was that a pound note that you handed over, or was it a pound coin?
It probably was.
It was a pound note. I bet you any money it was a pound note.
When was the pound note got rid of? When did they get rid of it?
I can tell you that because it was one of my questions I asked Nigel. Hang on. It was. The £1 coin was launched in 1983, so the £1 note would have been taken away. 1988. So they introduced them in 83, but they every single pound note had to be returned to the bank by 1988. There you are.
Oh, right. You can always tell by the films that I'll talk about that I went to cinema to see. The last film I probably saw at the cinema
was when Shilling and Pence was around.
It saved the money. It probably was with my son, and it'd be in the mid 2000s, and it was an awful film. And it was Power Rangers.
Oh,
It was
good God.
absolutely awful. There's a bit in the middle. Even he was saying, what's happened? Because half at film, there weren't even Power Rangers in the blooming thing. They were all not in the uniforms. And I thought, God, this is supposedly kids are supposed to be wanting all the action. And it was absolutely awful. It really was.
I stay clear of Power.
Even
I stay clear of Power Rangers. Jesus
good,
Christ.
yeah. That on a Saturday morning was like hell, wasn't it? Right. Yeah, here we are. Next one. Sorry about this. Right, Ghostbusters was disappointing as they are just bleeding it out with a waste of space characters like the other shows. Oh,
Yeah.
right. We should have Ghostbusters 3 back in the. Sorry, I've had these before, haven't I?
Yeah, I've had them.
PML, just seen it on TV, one of John Wayne's later films, and another one by the same director, Andrew McLagan, along with John Wayne and Rock Hudson, is a favorite of mine. The Undefeated. I think I've heard of that, but I can't honestly tell you much about it. I've not got into that. Tony Hawk, that is going on my list. I look out for. Even in CEX, they are cheap on DVD. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit different to the usual run-of-the-mill westerns. It's set during the French occupation of Mexico. Now that is interesting. Just after the American Civil War. I agree. That to me sounds suddenly quite much more interesting. Seeing the French, yeah.
Well, if I remember rightly, we pulled out we basically signed a treaty, didn't we? That's the American independence, and that's because the Navy was stretched, wasn't it, for the European Empire? The Queen ordered them back because we needed them to fight off Spain and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know quite what happened when it came to the French, because that must mean that the French,
don't forget,
they must have retreated to Americas to do what the British tried to do.
I think the French were a lot concentrated in Canada as well. And of course, we couldn't fight on all fronts.
That's right.
I think we kind of went more back to Canada. There's a lot of reasons why we gave up. Have
you ever seen John Adams? It was a mini series with Paul Gambiani or whatever his name is.
No.
Brilliant HBO series. He's the second president of America, but he was it's a really, really good thing, because if you watch it, you see that half of the laws that were passed around there were all British.
Yeah.
It was all British law.
Yeah.
And then when it was signed over, they then invented their own laws. But this is where the independence cutoff is. And they still use a lot of the English laws now. You know what
strategically,
I mean?
the French weren't daft. They immediately supported the rebels and got involved with Americans pretty quick. Yeah. They weren't daft, were they? But the French, of course, were getting nearer their revolution. 1776, 1789. It's not that long far away. So that spirit of revolution was sweeping through Europe.
I got in trouble at school, actually, because as a joke.
Yeah.
I wrote in one of my sort of like many essays that you have to do for school. I said that the French were always geared up for war, because, to be quite honest, the French will eat anything and we won't. So of course they're going to be more resilient. And I got an F for that. I actually went up to the teacher. I said, they eat snails. We're not going to do that. So of course, if you're going to another country and you see something crawling on the floor, they're more likely to eat it than we are.
So that's why the British Empire failed.
and I got into trouble for
that. You did. Yeah. Oh dear.
Funny little anecdote that is from school.
Right. Tony Hawk, I love the Civil War film. Thinks there's a new war film out. Oh, right.
I like Civil War films, but I tell you what, I'm looking forward to this year. I want to see Tony. I want to see Ridley Scott's Waterloo, the longer version.
Napoleon.
That's it.
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I want I want to see that again, that second or third part of the Three Musketeers that had Eva Green in, that came out about a couple of weeks later. It was the Three Musketeers.
Oh.
What was it called? Anyway, it was all in French. The whole film's in French.
Oh, was it? Oh,
brilliant! And then I found out that it was part of a trilogy. And to be quite honest, I haven't seen it announced on physical media yet. But I'll tell you what, as soon as it is, I'm ordering it.
Yeah, you're in. Yeah. Wow. Let's have a look. The View with Drew. Hey everyone, what's up?
I love The View with Drew.
Welcome. You must be wondering what on earth we're going on about half at time, but we're here with going on. Physical Media Live. I don't want to spoil Ghostbusters for others who haven't seen it, but the steel books are sold out on HMV, surprisingly.
They do go quick.
Don't mention that word steel book.
Yeah, I know, because you know me, I buy everything, right? Steelbook. But I have to say, if you go to Amazon, there'll be a Ghostbusters Steelbook there, and you can get it. But it's just HMV up there. Here's our exclusive artwork one, and that's why everybody goes to HMV first, because you'll get the exclusive artwork one. You know.
Excellent news. My channel, The View with Drew, is at 888 subscribers. Well done. That is fantastic. Yeah. So, The View with Drew, people have a look at this. Yes.
Send them my way, will you? I need 2.
And this bloke here on his channel, which if I'll just click that, if I go like that, look, there it is, Delboy. Yeah, go to that channel, give him the 2 that he needs. He only needs 2, and he was here last week as well. As you can say, we did really well last week.
I got 4. I was amazed. That was brilliant.
So come on, we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the reason I got the words mixed up with that Waterloo just now with Ridley Scott was I was in a charity shop today and I saw the DVD of Waterloo for £1. Yeah. But I've already got it. I've got
that box set. Have you got the box set of Waterloo?
No, I got the steelbook of it. It was a Blu-ray.
All right. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I shouldn't have said that. Yes.
No, because I really would like a better edition of it than
I really. It's great. And of course, you know what I'm going to say. Of course, I saw that at the cinema when it was released. Yeah, it's one of my favorite films.
That's because they made bulbs better back then, didn't they? On the
projectors. So, just one more time, The View with Drew. Go and subscribe to him.
Let's get him to
this bugger here. Get subscribed to him. Right, Physical Media. I would agree with you, Del, on LGBT diversity, etc., and pushing it on film as often as well. Like Doctor Who is just sadly we've talked about Doctor Who so much. It's
I don't mind a tick box exercise. What I don't like, and this is what I think can happen if it's not looked at, if this is not looked at carefully.
Yeah,
is that the wrong people get into the wrong people get into the wrong jobs.
Yes, I know what you're going to say.
I was listening to Radio 5 today, and there was a bloke on, and he was from the music industry. Yeah, he was handicapped. He's handicapped,
right?
And he's blind. There's not many people. Yeah. And he said, if you look at the top 50 FT index, there are actually only 7 people that are handicapped at the state of boardroom, level,
right?
Right? Yeah. For these companies. And my answer to that was, but at the end of the day, you should be able to do the job. It's not about all the time. Yes. We've got to have one person, so we'll have this joke in the post room. Suddenly made the director. because it don't work like that.
No, it's ability of the job. It's can you do the job?
I don't want to know that I've put all my money in Lloyd's bank and Lloyd's have suddenly gone so woke that they basically hired a person that was sweeping the toilets out
and they've lost
the director's level and start making choices in regards to where they're going to put my money. Just because the government turns around and says we need 1%
quota, this
to be at this level.
Yeah. I think, in a way, this is what's been happening with some of the actors, that they are ticking the boxes, and therefore, if you walk in the room, you'll do for this film. They haven't even auditioned them for the part properly. They said, you can do it, and they can't, can they? And it just doesn't work. Very sad. Let's have a look now. The next one. Tony Hawk, PML, the Civil War you mentioned had me confused. I just remember I saw a trailer for one set in the present near future. Is that the one you mean? Let's see what he says about that one. Yes, that's it, Tony Hawk. It looks good to me. What other bad films are coming out this year? I'm thinking of donating my Marvel films. Well, God, isn't there only one Marvel film this year? I think they are.
But it's more to do with the writers' strike and the fact that they. So you can actually only put special effects to films where they've actually filmed something. So they couldn't even do that, really.
Yeah. Oh dear. So I think you're safe with Marvel. I don't know what bad films are coming out this year.
They get a bad rep. I'll tell you what. I would personally be happy if the whole DC universe wasn't there, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they haven't got that very well organized.
At least the Marvel ones tried and did something different.
To be fair to Marvel, the Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 is a good film.
It is.
It was just some of the films around that.
I'll tell you what, the Guardians of the Galaxy comic, the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book, I couldn't get on with. I've been reading that comic book. It came out in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Dan Abnett wrote it, if I remember rightly, and it's nothing like the Guardians of the Galaxy that you see in the cinema now.
Yeah.
Right? There wasn't a Storm Lord. Take it like this.
Yeah.
It was 5 weird creatures. One of them was made totally of diamond, I think.
Oh,
anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy was a book that was cancelled more times than it was. Then I'd had toast in the morning. I'll tell you.
So that's
and then all of a sudden it took off.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, but I think the fact that they were able to do that shows that they still can produce films, but it is. I think what has happened, and a lot of people would agree, is that they just need to cut back, not do so many, or even have a rest from them. And there's nothing wrong in having breaks at all. It's like people seem to think it's a bad thing, but if you look at a lot of films, they go in cycles of what's in fashion. And what's
I can feel you in where the Guardians of the Galaxy came from. We all knew that the Avengers film was going galactic.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We knew that the stuff was coming from outer space. We know Tony Stark was saying he needed to put a shield around the Earth, all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's even in the comic books for that particular era.
Yeah.
And then you've got Asgard, which is all about mythical in space type thing, right? You couldn't have the Fantastic Four because it was owned by 20th Century Fox, and Disney didn't own them at the time. Yeah. So you have to look at Marvel and go, what have we got as galactic characters?
Yeah.
The only galactic characters that were heroes were really the Marvels and Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it. You didn't have much.
Right. Yeah.
So they were brought in as a well, we got nowhere to go because we're really the only other character we've got is Howard the Duck, and that ain't gonna work. We've tried Howard the Duck.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Right, we've had that.
Yeah,
and that's why there's a little joke at the end of one of the Guardian films where you see Howard the Duck having a drink. Right?
I get you.
It was one of the first Marvel films they tried to bring along, and it was George Lucas that tried to do it as well, and it flopped like mad.
Yeah. What I was going to ask you is a Guardian? The Fantastic Four. Is that still not in the Marvel properties to do?
No, it's back because it's 20th century. Because it's 20th Century Fox, and Disney bought 20th Century Fox.
So they can do those films now.
That's why you saw. That's why you saw Reed Richards and that in the Doctor Strange film, the Across the Multiverse.
So it is. Do you know if there is plans then going ahead?
Oh yeah, I think they've done a U-turn. Ever since the writers' strike, and they've got rid of Kang.
Yeah,
they've got this character called Kang. That's who the protagonist.
That's right. Didn't he get into trouble with?
Yeah. So now they've got to write that story off, and they've got to put something else there. Apparently, they're going along Galactus route. So they're going to have Galactus. Galactus was a world-devouring super being, right? But it's also a Fantastic Four villain.
So yeah, it makes sense that they've got to pick something that people know. You know what I mean? Not the sort of absolute people who are just into Marvel, but the more general. You've got to look from a marketing viewpoint. You've got to pick characters that people know outside, that are not necessarily comic people.
Well, Marvel have got a double-edged sword on them, right? They invented something that was really, really unique, and that was each film could be watched in its own way, but is interlocked into another film if you want to watch it as a continual experience.
Yeah.
That was the hook, and that's why Avengers and everything worked, because it was introduced 4, and then that introduced into the Avengers, and here's Iron Man, and that introduced into Avengers, and here's Captain America, and that introduced into Avengers. Then you have an Avengers film, and then you see what I mean, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as Disney said, right, we're getting rid of physical media and we're going to do a streaming service, Marvel then came under a TV show type aspect.
Yeah.
And then TV show, you had to watch the TV show as well as watch the film.
Yeah.
And
as far as they've started picking more.
That's a step too far.
That people didn't know.
Yeah, that's a step too far for a start. You can put little insights, but you don't want to go down the route of you've got to watch this, otherwise you don't understand it.
Yeah.
If you start doing that, then basically you're forcing people to do subscriptions to something that they don't want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what also happens with that is that you oversaturate the market. People get pissed off because now it's just all Marvel. I can't breathe without seeing Marvel everywhere. Then people start bad mouthing it, and that then ricochets into totally destroying the whole franchise because they oversaturated. Anybody that knows computers back in the 80s know that there was a computer crash in the 80s in America. There's a huge computer crash in America, right? Yeah. It was because of oversaturation. Everybody wanted video games. That meant that everybody was making a console. There was about 5, 6, 7 consoles came out, all within a year of each other. The Atari one was the one that basically survived, but it was the Atari that started the crash because they started to diversify all of their licenses to other people to manufacture cartridges. Now, these cartridges are 40 quid each back in 1981, 82.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
That's a hell of
And if you're bringing out 16 cartridges a month, different games, 16 different games every month, then basically the kids are just going, I want that one, and I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. And you can't keep up because if you only bought one a month, then you bought 2 out of 32. And then when you get to the next month.
Oh, yeah.
Right? See what I mean? 16, 32, 48. That means you'll have 3 of 48. Then you'll have 4 of 64 and so forth. Right? And that means there were 60 games that passed you by because you couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
Right? And all I'm saying is it doesn't take a genius to work out that if you carried that model on for a year, then you saturated the market to the point where nobody bought anything and they all died.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they manufactured cartridges that nobody bought. Because can't afford them.
Terrible. Absolutely. Right. Let me move on
Yeah, I'm going to shut up and let you talk.
Tony York, we're still on about Spain and France, combined with the Americans to defeat Britain in the 1770s. The film I referred to is set in the mid-1860s. Right. GB, Spain and France occupied part of the Mexican coast. Yeah, because the Spanish, we forget about them. They were beginning to be in decline, I suppose, more the Spanish. But their influence was still around. Yeah. Fried snails on a stick. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, because I was talking about snails. French and snails, weren't I? Yeah.
Eventually, only France remained and fought the Mexicans, who won in 1867. Yes, that does sound geeky. Just happens to be a period I'm interested in. No, well, thank you. That's good information. So it's quite 1867.
Well, that's you got to remember that back in London, we were in our industrial age.
Yeah, we were at the height of the empire, even though we may not have had America. We were
pioneering with inventions while they were firing bows and arrows.
I mean, Germany didn't really get going until 1870 it was Prussia which united Germany, and that was when all things started to develop with Bismarck and all that. But yeah, this period we're really ruling the world. If you looked at a map of the world, there was a lot of Britain everywhere. Right. French films sound good. Oh, yeah. Well, French films are good, I would say. They've got a great history of cinema. The history of
Do you remember your first French film that you watched?
Oh, crikey. Oh.
I think mine was Billetis.
I'm trying to think.
But I tell you what, the first commercial French film I watched was The Big Blue, I think. Luc Besson.
Oh. Do you know, I've not seen that.
Who went on to do La Femme Nikita, which is
yeah, I've seen that. And what they developed
Luc Besson, the French director, and Big Blue is his first sort of like American release that had Rosanna Arquette in it. I think it's set on the ocean.
Really?
Anyway, rightly.
Speaking of Napoleon, I have the special edition Blu-ray of the 1970 Waterloo. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you've got good
I saw it for £1 on DVD in a charity room today. But I've already got it on
the cinema, of course.
I've got it on Blu-ray, but it's a steel book, and I don't think it's the special
it's only
edition.
A steel book.
I haven't got, but I want the special edition now because I think mine's just a steel book of it. I don't think that's special about it.
Sorry, View with a Drew. I'm sub to Del.
In other words, he can't sub you anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, so up yours, Drew.
Who wouldn't be sub to him? Oh dear! It says Del is on 199 now. Wow! Come on!
Oh wow! Thank you so much. I'm very humbled.
I sound like one of these evangelical people that are going for money.
Somebody is really going to expect something special out of my 200 subscriber blog special.
I can see something special here. Come on now, let the power.
I'm going to be worried to death on how I celebrate 200 subs in my blog.
It's getting near. Come on now, we've got to do it. Is the 1970 Waterloo worth picking up, Tony?
No,
I'll answer for you. Yes, it is. It's brilliant. I'll answer for it. It's worth picking up. The battle scenes are amazing.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Physical Media Life. It is, if you like history and battles. It has a good cast. Oh yeah, Rod Steiger.
There was Christopher Plummer that stuck out to me.
Napoleon Wellington. Oh yeah, it's
and it rained like mad.
Even Orson Welles makes a quick appearance as the French king, doesn't he? Very quick appearance.
The thing I remember the most about it is it's incredibly bleak. There's lots of smoke and it rained like mad.
And Christopher Plummer, I could talk a lot about him, but I won't be on for hours. But he's somebody who, the more I watch, the more I realize what a really great actor Christopher Plummer is. But there we are. Okay, Tony, I'll ask in CX if I'm into my history. Anything with battles in and decent writing is good for me. Well, I hope it's definitely you must get it if you can get hold of it. I think
Bridge over the River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia, Zulu, Waterloo, Napoleon,
Cromwell,
yeah.
Cromwell, Richard Harris, Alec Guinness. It's one of my favourite films. I want a proper Blu-ray, please.
All Quiet on the Western Front, Heartbreak Ridge, Platoon.
Now here's one, Tony, for you. Never got into Marvel Universe. Saw one of the Captain America films on TV. Quite enjoyed it. Captain America is perhaps one of the best of the filmed versions.
The one that they were most skeptical about was Captain America, because they said, "How is the 1940s hero going to be considered sexy or great in the now?" But it actually ended up being the better of the lines, because then they did Civil War, and then they did, Winter Soldier. And
Winter Soldier is considered one at best, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Physical Media Life. Guardians of the Galaxy. I was bored by the end. I own the others, but will eventually box them up. Yeah. I can. Everybody's. I think. When I saw it, I haven't actually got it. I've got a download of it, but yes, because I wanted to think. Well, if I didn't want to waste my money on it, so I haven't bought it about. It probably will end up.
At the end, look, I think everybody knows, really, right?
But
the reason that those films are successful is because people want to see a talking squirrel and a talking twig.
Yeah, but I think
the rest of you could get rid of all the other characters and you would still have a hit film, because people want to see a talking squirrel and a twig that just mentions one word every time, which is Groot. Groot, 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 Groot.
I like your cynical approach. I like that. I won't say note, as they say. Yeah, I'm saying note. Physical Media Life. The classic Fantastic Four movies were great. The remakes were terrible. Actually, I'm going to say,
I don't understand that.
I don't think they were terrible. I quite enjoyed them. Actually,
I know what he's talking about now. You have to understand here that I got confused with that statement then.
Yeah, Fantastic Four films. They did two, didn't they? They did two. There was one.
Yeah. But you have to understand, my history goes back further than those two. If you go back further than that, you've got a Roger Corman unreleased Fantastic Four in the 80s.
Roger Corman, wow.
Yes, but it's well known because basically there's a documentary on it. You can actually get the whole film online. You can watch it. Right? Yeah. And it was done by Roger Corman. It was done in the 80s. And he finished the film only because if he didn't finish the film, he wouldn't get paid. But then once he finished it and they wrapped, he never released it.
Yeah,
that was it. All it was just to keep the license. It was so 20th Century Fox didn't lapse on the license. That was all it was. It was right. It was you had to do something with it. Now, I know what you're talking about there, because you had then two Fantastic Four films that came out under the Marvel Universe, and then you had a remake that was done that was bloody awful, and you had it was so disjointed and all over. Doctor Doom was all weird, and it was all set on the negative zone, I think.
Yeah.
The Ben Grimm, the Thing, didn't have any pants. All that sort of stuff, and everybody was saying, "Where's his dick?" Then,
oh God,
honestly, even though we are going down to toilet humor, that's exactly what people were going to say. He's got no pants on, and everyone's going, "Well, where's his donker then?"
And people start examining everything. Oh God,
that's what they did. No, sorry.
Aren't PS You'll know me. You're asking wrong person.
Yeah,
Aren't
they are.
PS5 games 70 each?
Yeah,
Are they?
they are.
Bloody
More than
God,
that.
that is a lot of money, isn't it?
What they
But
tend to
and
do
aren't
is
you now?
what they tend to do is they do a physical media release, and then you go online and you get what they call a season pass, which costs you about another 20 quid, and it means that all the download stuff for it, like future updates,
Yeah,
are free to you. Otherwise, you have to pay for them as they come out, and you know
yeah,
that they're going to be like free download packs, and they're going to cost you 13 quid each. So you think to yourself, right, so I've spent 50 quid on this game. £20 gets me a season pass. Otherwise, I've got to buy free download packs that are going to cost me 15 quid each, which means
God,
it's £45. So I might as well pay that 20 quid now. And that
yeah.
means you spent 70 quid. That's how it works.
And I gather I do listen to your blog, that there seems to be like everything else, they're trying to phase it out, aren't they? The physical copy.
Yeah. They want
Basically, the
everybody to go
physical
digital.
copy.
In fact, the
Yeah,
next Xbox console apparently is that's coming out is actually another digital version of their Xbox.
yeah.
And at the moment, Game, which is a store that's on the high street for buying
Yeah,
physical
we've got one
games,
even in our town still.
it's
God,
it's
yeah,
it's now backtracked into what is it into Sports Direct or whatever it is. It's in the
yeah,
corner of
yeah,
Sports Direct,
yeah.
and they've made a load of layoffs. And
Wow.
apparently they're now going to be leaving the high street, so you're not going to get a game store.
Uh,
HMV already don't put game. HMV used to sell games along with physical media,
right.
film, and now you can't buy a game from in
Do
there.
you know?
You
I
don't
didn't
buy.
know that. That
No.
is interesting.
I
Nobody's
think
ever talked
if
about
I go
that.
into my HMV, I don't think you can buy games in there. I
Wow.
think just physical media, vinyl, and
Yeah,
merchandise.
yeah. That is interesting. Do you know? I've not heard anybody mention that about HMV. I just assumed they sold games.
Yeah, they used
Wow.
to
Yeah.
during,
Wow.
during the PS3 era and the PS4
Yeah.
era. But I
Wow.
think it's been a while
Yeah.
now. I don't know when they officially pulled the plug but then again,
Yeah.
I don't remember. I can't remember the last time I went in there and saw a controller or a game in any section in there. It's got vinyl records and record players and MP3 in it and all of that, so merchandise T-shirts. But I can't remember
So they
any
don't sell
rack,
the consoles
any
even.
rack or any corner bit where you can
No?
actually buy a game. No, I don't
Wow.
think. I don't think they do it anymore.
That's quite a big change.
Yeah, if you go to the HMV site
Yeah.
online, you can.
Is there has there been any resistance then to this? Well, I mean, you can't resist, but what is
I
the
think I
feelings
think
in the gaming
I
community?
I've got a funny feeling they knew straight away. They knew straight away that people are buying their games online and they're getting them cheaper than
Yeah,
they have them
yeah,
in the store.
yeah.
Nobody's going to go in that store and buy them at 40 quid when you can buy it in keks for 20 quid second hand,
So, yeah,
or you can get a game and or you can get it online for 15 quid cheaper
yeah,
than what all the shop outlets are. And that's why I think game has been slowly as a shop has been slowly decreasing and
yeah,
decreasing, because unless there's a new console coming out, that's when
yeah,
they've suddenly got a lot of revenue coming
yeah.
in,
Because
right?
they're
In other
selling
words,
other things, aren't they? I noticed.
I'll tell you
I
what,
noticed years ago.
game would be around for another year if Sony was to turn around and say we've got the PS6 coming out this year and it's going to come out in June, right?
Yeah,
They'd be rubbing their hands, going, right,
yeah.
we're all right, we're going to be all right for another year. Because I tell you what, pre-orders bang, right? Oof.
Wow.
And that would be enough for the banks to turn around and say, yeah, we'll sub you the money that you need to survive, because we know we're going to get it back when you sell all these PS6s. But there's no consoles that are coming out this year. There's no new Xbox, so it's business as usual, and everybody's buying their games online in sales.
So,
So
as you see it, then, is gaming going to become something that is basically online all the time? In terms of there's going to not going to be any physical presence at all.
a good friend of mine down the rabbit hole
Yeah.
is he's in Canada. Asked the question: are we heading forward to a 1983 crash, but for a different reason in the 21st century?
Yeah.
And he speculated, and he said we could possibly have, and his answer was we could possibly have a crash, but it won't be because of oversaturation. It will be because of complacency. It will be basically people overpricing for a product. Nothing exciting. People are excited about huge leaps, like graphics have increased to this level, sound has increased to this level. At the moment, all we're talking about at the moment is AI. So what is Sony's next console going to look like? Because you've gone as high as you can with the graphics, you've gone as high as you can with the sound. The only thing you can do now is do an AI console. So what does that mean? Nobody knows what that looks like. So at the end of the day, people are just going, well, I'm not really that excited about AI. People won't wear VR headsets because it makes them sick and all sorts of stuff. And they don't want to wear a big thing bolted to their eye, to their. I mean, I've got it. I mean, there's my.
I know you've got your. It's
mine.
I
love it. Because I can watch all I can watch all my 3D films with those.
Well, I'm going to say, is that the future?
It's one of them.
It's definitely, you're going to see more of that. You're going to see more of that.
I think it requires a lot of belief and a lot of money being thrown at it. Right? Atari back in the 80s would have no qualms whatsoever to say, you want 1 billion to develop something, here you go. Right? You can't do that now. So basically, when you've got the might of Facebook behind it, you split the audience up, because one side goes, great, I've now got a VR headset I can afford, and the other half says, yeah, but it's Facebook and I don't trust the bastards. They'll be nicking every bit of information about me, credit cards, my life. They'll know more about me than my doctor does by the time I put that headset on. So you've got half of them going, I'd love to embrace this, and you've got the other half saying, there's no way I'm buying that, because I'm not having my room interrogated with cameras and shit. So
what is the pattern then of the younger generation? What are they
the younger generation are all about phones.
So they're not going to be into that at the moment. Not
I'll tell you like this. I haven't heard anybody get excited about a tablet in years.
Interesting.
Right? Apple tablet. You hear about the iPhone all the time on TV. It's like the new iPhone 15 or 16 or whatever is that. When was the last time you heard that Apple have brought out their new tablet this year? Nobody is interested, because all it is the kids want phones. It's in their hands, and they can take it to school, and it's a Swiss Army knife in your pocket to do whatever you want.
They're happy with that,
And like I say, I mean, the next big thing on the phone for me, and this only interested me because my eyesight is going, is that my phone is a tablet as well, because it folds.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's nice.
And so everything is now bigger, you see. So all my icons and everything are bigger and all that. But as far as I'm concerned, even that technology is old.
Wow.
Samsung have been promising a fold phone for about 10 years.
It'd be interesting to see what's going to happen.
Let's get back to films.
Tony York watched a French film last night. Don't Deliver Us from Evil, 1970. Interesting title. Reminded me of And Soon the Darkness. I love And Soon the Darkness. What a film. Brilliant.
I remember the two girls cycling around. That's what I remember. I didn't remember the title.
In the French countryside with two girls cycling around. Yes, it is. These girls weren't being menaced. I'd be interested to see that sort of French film. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because especially if it reminded you of that film, because that is such a good film. Physical Media Life. What's the best Civil War films you have watched? Which Civil War?
Because
I'm being naughty because
Marvel Civil War.
My specialist area is 17th century history, and it's of course Cromwell. And,
I like that Civil War where you've got a bloke who's general. He's got a hammer and he fires lightning down at people. I don't know what Civil War that was. Was that Marvel? Was it?
Probably. I've noticed. Did you notice that I mentioned Witchfinder General? I thought managed to be relevant and up to date. I can put that into Civil War. Patrick Wyman,
I've got that on 4K, haven't
I? Popping up. Patrick Wyman, good old Patrick Wyman. Anyhow, what's the best Civil War film? If I'm being serious, do you mean? Shall we? Oh yeah, that's it. Brilliant. It's such a good film. You could talk. The story a lot about behind that. The director Michael Reeves, fantastic. 3 films. He died when he was 28 years old.
Yep.
Amazing stuff about that. But
the amount of extras on that, the amount of extras as well about that history of that film.
Michael Reeves was unbelievable. I find it amazing that he stood up to Vincent Price, and that is great because he didn't want it over Top Camp, and that's what Vincent Price would have done. But he and look at performance we got. Anyway, what is the best war films you have watched? I'm going to be naughty. Del, what's the best Civil War?
No, you're the historian. What?
Yes. Well, I mentioned Cromwell, honestly, but if you're looking at American Civil War, to be honest, I haven't really watched that many because American history hasn't been a big sort of thing of mine. I did a year's worth of American history at university. I thought I'd better do some.
The one thing I will say about the Civil War in America is that when you look at films about the Civil War in America, they all skirt around westerns.
Yeah.
So you've got How the West Was Won. That's about
that's
Civil
classic,
War,
isn't it? Supposedly, I've never seen it. No, I haven't seen it.
You got the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You got the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's all around the Civil War.
Yeah.
But without actually being about the Civil War. Yeah. You see what I mean? It's just it was going on while this story was going on. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I presume the Lincoln I've not seen the Lincoln biography. That would obviously
with Daniel Day-Lewis. Is that the Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yeah, that would surely cover the Civil War. Yeah, it does.
But it's not a Civil War film.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. If somebody's asking the question, "What's the best Civil War film?" then I suppose what you're talking about is a film like All Quiet on the Western Front, but in the Civil War.
Yeah,
and there aren't that many, I don't think.
But I think that because you were talking about westerns, I were immediately thinking of the American Civil War. But that's an interesting thing because. I don't know. Tony would obviously know. He knows all about the westerns, but I don't know in terms of mainstream. You hear westerns, you think of all, those titles come up, the John Wayne ones and what have you, and they're not American Civil War ones, are they?
No, I'm just having a look because what you're talking about is what's a good film based on the North versus the South in America.
And I'm going to say Gone with Wind, even though some people would say Gone with the Wind has a lot of Civil War scenes in.
Right. So here's a couple of suggestions. It says Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, I've heard that now. Yes.
A film called Frontline. There's a film that I have seen called Cold Mountain, but I wouldn't have said that was a war film. The Deer Hunter. How's that a North versus South?
That's not the Civil War.
That's Vietnam.
Yeah, a brilliant film, but it's Vietnam.
The Last Confederate. I have seen that. That's okay. Yeah, The Last Confederate. Look.
What is the Clint Eastwood one where he's a soldier that's wounded? That's in the Civil War, isn't it?
Thought so.
Is that 2 Mules for Sister Sarah? I think that.
Yes. Well, yeah.
But it's not. I suppose it's not specifically about the actual battles and stuff. But I'm sure he's a soldier, isn't he?
Yeah, I've got another way of doing this. Hang on.
And I'm sure that's Till Mules for Sister Sarah.
Yeah, so you mentioned it. So it's the Outlaw Josie Wales, Gettysburg, Lincoln, Glory. Yeah, Glory is a good one.
Yeah. Is that about
Glory is a great one.
Yeah. Is that the one where they're all a black regiment? There's one Civil War. Yeah.
Dances with Wolves does have the Civil War in it. I wouldn't have said that was a great Civil War film.
Yeah.
The General. Well, that's bloody hell. That's a silent film, 1926.
I don't know.
Yeah, Gone with the Wind. Yeah.
Gone with Wind.
I think you'll find that if I was to choose any of those, it would be probably Lincoln and Gettysburg. I would.
Yeah.
Glory is good.
Who's in Gettysburg? Who's in Gettysburg?
Oh, 1993 film. You're asking me now.
I know that battle is important. Gettysburg is a major battle in Civil War, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Gettysburg is a great film. I'm just trying to think. It's got Tom Berenger in it. Yeah.
Who?
Tom Berenger and Martin Sheen.
Tom Berenger. Yeah.
Jeff Daniels.
Oh, it's not a bad cast.
Oh yeah, there's Richard Jordan, Tom Berenger, Martin Sheen, Stephen Lang, Jeff Daniels, Sam Elliott.
Oh, it's a very good cast.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, I knew the reason why I chose it. It was just can't remember everybody that's in it.
Is it quite? I presume. I bet it's got quite a lot of length. I bet it's quite long. Is it?
Oh, it's a 2.5 hour, 3 hour film.
Yeah, it would be. But that probably sounds a good film. It's probably one at best. So there you are, Gettysburg.
Hang on, there's two versions. Right? One is 254 minutes long, and the director's one is 271 minutes. So when you consider that 240 is a 4 hour film, isn't it? Because that's what we used to buy 240 hour. 180 was 3 hours, wasn't it? And 240 was 4 hours.
Yeah.
So that meant it's 4 hours, 15 minutes, or nearly 4.5 hours plus.
Well,
for the director's
what I would do is have a look if it's on DVD. It may not even have made a Blu-ray. I don't know. And I'm sure there's a theatrical version around.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
I mean, I've got the soundtrack as well.
Have you?
God, yeah. But
you haven't got the film. You haven't got the film.
No, I have, but I think I've got a DVD of it. It is right. It's out on Blu-ray.
Is it? Oh,
yeah. There's a collector's edition.
Wow. So it's quite
there's 150th commemoration edition released in 2011, which is, I suppose, the beginning of the Civil War. Yeah, there we are. The beginning of the Civil War in April 1861.
Yeah. So there you are. There's the answer. Gettysburg. That is the one. Yeah. There's the one. We found a Civil War. So if anybody asks me now, I'll say, "Oh, okay, Gettysburg." Yes, there we are. Good.
And if you're interested, there was a prequel to it called Gods and Generals.
It doesn't sound quite the same, does it?
No, it didn't do very well, apparently.
No, I'm sure it didn't with a title like that. Tony Hawk, they were a strict Catholic school and began playing tricks on the locals, which escalated a shocking ending.
That's those two women bike riders, isn't it?
The devil one. Sorry. Deliver Us from Evil, 1970. I'm just looking up there. Yeah, that sounds. I'd be definitely interested in a film like that. It sounds really good. I like that period, 1970s. Physical media life depends on what area you mean. World War II was the most releases, I would think. I have some medieval ones similar to Braveheart. I was thinking, yes, I suppose that's an interesting thing. I've never seen Braveheart. It's one that's on my list to watch. I know. I know. I told you, as so many films, it's amazing. Ironclad 2011. Yeah, I've heard of that. King John. Now that's I've not seen Ironclad, but that sounds interesting. King John era, definitely. Oh,
I like all the Queen Elizabeth stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do. I like that era as well.
I like all that. Mary,
Yeah.
Queen of Scots, Elizabeth I.
Yeah.
I like all that.
All
You
good.
know,
I like even like the old 60s versions of Henry VIII and his wives and all that. And,
I watched the Betty.
yeah,
I watched the
really
Betty
good.
Davis. I watched the Betty Davis versions of Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh wow!
She did that twice, didn't she?
Yeah.
Once with Errol Flynn, and
Errol Flynn, yes.
Vincent Price was in it as well.
Oh, was he? Oh,
Yeah.
Amazing. Who
And
did
Basil Rathbone.
God, there's some real names there.
Yeah.
Now, let's have a look. Any sort of era for me, Tony York. Oh, right. Well, he's given you some films there, and we've given you Gettysburg. We keep going on about. And Ironclad 2. Oh, they did a follow. Ironclad 2, 2014, where the heroes have to try and defend a castle from the Scots at a similar period in time, early 13th century. I really enjoyed them. I must.
Don't you just love watching a film which has always got a castle in it that's got to be protected? I mean, I watched the Vikings, right? When I was a kid, the Vikings was one of my favorite films, right?
Oh,
with Tony Curtis.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Yeah.
And Ernest Borgnine was in it as well.
Wow.
And that has a castle that has to be breached at the end. And then they have a fight at the top of the castle and chop his hand off.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it when they're pouring the stuff down the wall and the ladder.
Yeah, chucking catapult stuff and that over the top of the walls and stuff.
Boiling oil and
other
stuff. I have a pen and paper out now, Tony York. Oh well, hopefully Gettysburg is on that as well.
I would get Gettysburg, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds. Even I'd be intrigued to watch that. Definitely.
I got the DVD of it. I haven't got anything else.
Yeah. And Tony is laughing. Ha ha. Well, Tony's spot on. He's walking encyclopedia about these films. James Woolard. HMV sell a few console games, but
that's what I mean. I haven't seen any in my local one. Not at all.
Maybe it's just how big is your local one? Is it a medium?
Well, I'm only in a small town, you see, not a city.
Yeah. So maybe it is at the big.
I mean, my HMV as well is not 2 floors; it's just 1 floor. So.
Yeah, ours closed. It was.
Yeah, but there you go.
The best one for us would be Leicester. I think Leicester have got quite a big one still open. That used to be about 2 or 3 floors. I think. Well, it'd be 2 floors, not 3. And I think it's still open. I think it survived the one in Leicester. HMV is like the shop Mankind with toys.
It used to be a catalogue, wasn't it? Mankind.
Oh, I don't remember that catalogue.
Oh yeah.
Right. PS6 probably cost £1,000 as a PS5 was expensive. Well, that is a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, but the PS5 came out, if you remember rightly, COVID just started. You couldn't therefore make any new consoles because there was nobody in the factories making the chips to do them.
Yeah.
Everybody was scalping everybody.
Well, did they say there was a chip shortage or something in the world?
There was a chip shortage. They only had to go to the end of our street and you could have chips, with sausages and everything, right? Apparently in the world.
And they've got to be made in Yorkshire, of course.
Yeah, you can have you can have some sauce, you can have mayonnaise, whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
But, no, there was a chip shortage, and of course, everybody was scalping everybody. People were buying 10 consoles from Game with different accounts, and then putting them on eBay at twice the price.
Oh,
and that went on for 8 months.
Yeah,
8 months, I would have said. Christmas came along and kiddies couldn't have their top toy, which was it basically killed the PS5's money potential. Basically,
is £1,000? Do you think? And to me, it seems a lot of money. But would you say that would be a reasonable price?
I will always say that £1,000 is too expensive because At the end of the day, as much as Sony want to call their product a media center where it can do everything, right? It will play films, it will play music, it will do VR, it will play games. You can watch films, you can get Netflix on it, and all of that sort of stuff. As far as I'm concerned, my TV's got that built in. So what are you asking? What are you saying to me, Sony?
Yeah.
I think that the PS6, really, the next PS6 should be inbuilt into a telly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Sky have done with Glass. You know, Sky
Yeah.
Glass, where they're saying you can have a Sky box and it's in the telly itself.
Oh, yeah. I think I have seen that mentioned. Yeah.
The reason I mentioned that is not because I think Sky were going to fail with that Sky Glass, and I still think they will. I think it's the wrong idea. But for a gaming thing where people have got gaming rooms, it makes sense because then you'll have no problems with frame rates and colors dipping, and it's got to hook up to this telly, and it won't work with this telly because this telly doesn't have the right cables and connections and technology for the console. At the end of the day, every time they upgrade the console, the screen will upgrade with it. I think that'll probably be the next step.
Mm-hmm. There is one question that just occurred to me. Hopefully, my son, he's into Xbox. What is the difference between Xbox and PS5s and what have you? What is the difference?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft have developed their console around a modular design, right? What I mean by a modular design is PCs. The PC that you've got in front of you dates back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Right? Everything slots in. If you want a new graphic card, you take the old one out, you put the new one in.
Yeah.
The Xbox is pretty much a little bit like that. It's got a board with a chip on it. It's got a graphic card in it. But the hard drive plugs into the board. The CD drive plugs into the board. It's all in a square box. It's basically a PC inside that, right? But it's dedicated to only playing games. It's not dedicated to be a Windows operating system. It's got no Windows operating system on it. It's everything about it is geared around games.
Right.
So that, in other words, the PC doesn't have to think about doing anything in regards to moving a mouse around, all of that sort of stuff, right? So you cut all that out and you've basically got a powerhouse because it'll be concentrating on gameplay and graphics and everything else. That's all you got to think about. The PS5 doesn't have a chip that you could buy off the shelf, like an NVIDIA graphic chip or a Intel i7 processor, which is what you'll find inside an Xbox.
Yeah,
you'll find a derivative of an i9 processor or something like that inside it. It won't be an i9. What I'm saying is it's a derivative. PlayStation, Sony made their own chip. From the ground up, they built a graphic chip and a CPU chip themselves. So it's geared to be the fastest thing out there because it's not based on old technology. It's built on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what the stance has been between Sony and Xbox. Like, you'll see no end of videos saying which is the fastest console, and nobody can really come up with an answer really worthy.
Yeah.
Because you have to ask yourself, well, what do you mean by powerful? Do you mean in number crunching? Do you mean in frames per second? Do you mean in colors being displayed? Because they'll all do totally different things. Some people will say, well, okay, computation then. Mathematical wise, how fast can it calculate the square root of whatever it is? How many milliflops of seconds will it do to actually do it? And they're virtually neck and neck. Virtually neck and neck. When Sony are designing a chip, they can't go too far off of the blueprint. Because it could actually fall down, and then basically you got nowhere to go. You know what I mean? It's got to be built around some architecture, and that architecture has got to be viable as a manufacturer process. You can
Oh,
imagine. Otherwise, you've got to go to only one manufacturer in the world that can create these boards, and you're not going to do that as a person who owns a manufacturing plant. You want to be able to give the design to any factory in the world and say, "Can you make 1,000 of them, please?" Because we need them out by tomorrow.
right.
You don't want one where you have to go to Taiwan, phone them up and say, I need 10 of these for tomorrow. They phone up and say, well, you have to give us a week's notice.
Yeah.
Because we got to get that's no good. I mean, you can imagine the car industry back in the day like that, can't you? Say, well, look, if we're making 100 cars out this week, we're going to fail. Everybody's working overtime to get the 100 cars out, and then them turning around and saying, well, we've only got one plant that can do it. You've got to have 10 plants that can do it, otherwise you're going to pay, aren't you?
Right. Let's go.
We've gone back to games. I want to go to films. What's it?
Physical medium. How about Last of the Mohicans? Great film. I've got that. I've watched it. It's really good. Excellent film. Set in the 18th century North America. Several film TV series have been made. Probably the best to go with is the Daniel Day-Lewis one. Yeah, I've got that. That's the one. It is a great film. Though they have been, but I won't go into that because we'll just see it as a film. Because I don't want to go down that route when people start saying
was it my left foot or Last of the Mohicans which came first? I think it was
I would have thought My Left Foot because it was the film that introduced Channel 4. When
that's right.
That's how I remember that.
They combined those two films, haven't they? My Left Foot and Free Willy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, called My Free Foot Willy.
Oh God! Oh dear, the jokes! Oh dear! You can hear the groans. You can hear them.
Yeah, that tumbleweed went across there.
Yeah, the tumbleweed. Tony Hawk. I just looked it up. It looks interesting to me. All right. Good there. Not the film that he mentioned that doesn't exist. That's a joke.
Zeppelin's great. That was on telly the other day.
World War film that's I've watched now. Oh yeah, of course I saw that at the cinema. Yes, Zeppelin. I remember it very well. My dad taking me. It includes espionage and riding around in an airship. What more can you?
There's also the film Hindenburg, isn't there? There actually is a film Hindenburg.
Oh, is there?
It's actually about the Hindenburg.
I remember Zeppelin because Anton Differing is in it, and he pops up. He was in Hammer films as well, but he pops up as the German. He was always playing the German actor, and he's definitely in Zeppelin. And I think he's in Where Eagles Dare as well. He just pops up everywhere. Anton Differing. Right, let's have a look. Zeppelin's a great film. I really
there you are. Do you remember this film then? Right? I'm going to see if you recognize this one.
Yeah.
It's got an airship in it. The Assassination Bureau.
Oh,
Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed. In the Assassination Bureau, which ends with an airship, and it's got Telly Savalas as the Gestapo.
Oliver Reed. Assassination Bureau. Oh,
that's got an airship in it.
What year is that?
1970. Ooh, hang on.
That's why I thought Dinah Rigg.
1969. There you are.
Yeah, I'm sure Dinah Rigg's in that.
She is. Dinah Rigg is in it.
Yeah, I know it. That's it. I'm in.
Oliver Reed, Dinah Rigg.
Yeah. Oh, Oliver Reed. I love Oliver Reed as well. Who doesn't love Oliver Reed?
All I'm saying is the Assassination Bureau. When people mention airships, I think Zeppelin, Hindenburg, and the Assassination Bureau. I don't know.
There you are. Physical Media Life. There it is. You've got more films. By the end of this live stream, you'll have a massive list of films to check out. I played the VR. It made me feel sick, so I don't use it. Oh, there you are.
It's the biggest problem for VR is the feeling of being sick, and it's because when you put glasses on, you can't see the horizon.
Oh right,
so you get motion sickness. they have put in every piece of software that's on the VR now
Yeah.
a comfort setting. And when you put the comfort to very, very comfortable, you
Yeah.
get no motion sickness. And
Yeah.
then when you put it to extreme, you get motion sickness.
Oh.
I get motion. It's like being in a roller coaster, right?
Is it like?
So don't be put off by it will make you feel sick, because what
Yeah.
they've done now is they've categorized everything now,
Yeah.
and you can actually have a good VR experience without being sick, because you can change how the light, how the glasses work with your eyes by choosing the lowest comfort setting. And there you are.
It'd be interesting. 'Cause I must admit, I sometimes suffer a bit from vertigo. I have it really high things. Is it sort of a bit like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Because I remember I went to Link. This was quite a few years ago when I was doing I was on some research thing that was doing, and we went to Lincoln Castle, and Lincoln Castle's really high up, great castle to investigate. I went right up to the top, and suddenly I experienced this terrible vertigo. It was awful. I was clinging on, and I love castles, and it was so bad to feel so awful. And anyhow, you don't want to hear about that. Tony Hawk. I've not heard of that. I will be in CX eyeing the DVDs for ages. Another great film I need to watch. I tell you why. You see, you're getting an education watching this now. Here, by it, you are. A Field in England. Is that a film? I don't know.
It depends on what context that is. It's probably based on something a little bit further, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Ian, the French film I mentioned is on a label called Mondo de Cabaret. Oh, interesting. They release a lot of titles I've never heard of. I'm intrigued by the label title.
Mondo Macabro.
Macabre.
As in macabre.
Yeah, I bet it is. It's a great title. Sounds interesting. Glory and Free State of Jones are good American Civil War ones. Yeah.
Well, we said Glory, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I'm a fan of Lincoln, favorite president of mine. Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of the legendary presidents.
It got a good reception, but didn't do well, did it? As an actual film, it lost money. But
no.
I think it's because of the time it came out. It was during COVID, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah. Tony Hawk, in relation to the total number of westerns released, I don't think there's been a great number of American Civil War films. That's interesting. Yeah. He's probably right. From you proved it, didn't you? With just
that's what I'm saying. I mean, things like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and all of that, they're all based around the Civil War. But you're more concentrating on the actual characters in that film. It's just like it was going on around at the time.
Yeah. Yes, Ian. The Beguiled, Two Mules is set back in the French. You see, I'm getting there in the French Mexican era.
I told you it's
Yeah. There you are. Tony Hawk. I think they do John Wayne box sets with all the films. Oh yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do loads of John Wayne. I don't know how many films he made, but I think people with John Wayne, remember, he goes right back to 1930s, and they were really churning out the westerns, weren't they? They just did loads of westerns. He must have been in an absolute stack of westerns.
Yeah, I think it's because he was hired by a studio to be a jobbing actor, and they have him on contract, and therefore they'll put him in a certain genre, and then that'll be it. He'll be stuck in that until his contract ends. And if you're stuck in a contract for 10 years, then that's
and
you could probably come out with 200 films, probably.
Yeah, and a lot of them won't be particularly.
Yeah,
they'll just be very standard.
That was the argument. That was the argument of Betty Davis. She said, "I'm a slave to your contract. I want to get out of the contract because you're giving me crap and I can't do anything about it."
Probably right. Yeah, she was probably right. A Physical Media Life. Yes, they will do. maybe a more economical way of getting them. Yeah, it's true. DVDs, you can probably get some good box sets, which are quite cheap, relatively. Um, Without Google, can anyone guess how many films have been made in the UK?
Oh, Jesus.
Whew, I wouldn't know. And when from?
Oh,
What?
no, that's it.
Yeah, right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right from silent films. I don't know. I wouldn't
Yeah,
even
before
like.
before Ealing and everything
Yeah.
else. I mean, Christ, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I couldn't put a figure on it. Oh wait, listen to this. Tony Hawk, 22,000
2,124.
124. That's an interesting figure. Did you
How do you,
Google that?
how do you know they haven't just finished one and it's
Yeah, I know.
22,125? Literally, because they finished it 10
Actually,
minutes ago on the editing suite.
yeah. Uh, um, even if that figure is roughly about right, of say released films, do you think that's a bit low or higher than you would expect?
It's lower than I expected.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought the bit.
Well, the reason for that
I mean, does that include?
the reason
Sorry.
for that is that I think sometimes it's very hard to see what the dividing line is between what is an American film and what is a British film, because
Yeah,
they make them over here, but they distribute them through Universal or Paramount or whatever.
yeah,
Unless it actually said this was made at Pinewood and distributed by EMI, you
yeah,
didn't know what, then you didn't really know whether it was a British film or not, because is Superman a British film, even though it was all made over here?
yeah.
It was
Exactly.
actually done with British money. It was done on our British studios.
Yeah,
The whole film cast, the actual crew that made the film
yeah,
is British, but but it's done by an American director with an American cast, and
yeah,
it's therefore an American film because it's marketed by Warner, which is an American company. So it's
yeah,
American.
yeah.
So what I'm saying is, where's the dividing line? Because I consider Superman to be a British film.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, if you consider that there's only 100 actors in it plus one director and they're American, then as far as I'm concerned, you had thousands of technicians working on Superman.
yeah.
And they made it over here in 6 months over on the Pinewood lot. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a British film.
I think I was just thinking the trouble with a figure like that. I mean, there's a lot of independent films probably made that probably wouldn't be included in that.
Yeah,
There's probably. What about Children's Films Foundation? Would you include that? You can start going on and start looking at various films. It's quite a difficult thing, I think, to really put down. Tony Hawk, they do a signature collection in HMV of John Wayne for $10.99. Well, that sounds pretty good. I don't know how many films are in that, but for a $10.99 box set is pretty good.
You sure he doesn't mean it's the signature collection? It's $10.99 per film.
Oh, well, that perhaps isn't quite so much then.
I would have said that's more likely.
Yeah, it's where you get, about 10 films for.
When I was doing my capsule reviews and I showed the HMV Looker and Excalibur and that, they were the part of the premium line.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Those were called the premium format line.
I know the premium collection.
And they were $10.99. I'm pretty sure that the signature collection, John Wayne signature collection, is probably $10.99 per film.
Yeah, wow. So that would get quite expensive. Are they Blu-ray at $10.99?
I would have thought so.
Yeah. Well, that's not bad for a Blu-ray then.
Yeah.
If it's a decent film, if you know which John Wayne films to get, then they might pick the best. Then that would probably be a good deal. Do you like watching the Crown TV series? I've never seen it. Honestly. I don't know.
I watched one season.
I've never watched it. Yeah.
It was all right. It's just that I knew I couldn't devote the time to it to actually appreciate it, because it's not Downtown Abbey. It actually is quite good, and it goes back quite far.
Yeah.
Right now they're talking about much closer to to where we are now. But when I was
aren't they doing the death of Princess Di?
That's what I mean. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I was watching it when it was Victoria, Queen Victoria.
Oh,
so
right.
I watched that season, right? And that really was interesting because I don't know too much about Queen Victoria other than it was our industrial revolution and all of that. And
oh yeah,
I know that she was devoted to her husband who was German,
who
died really early, and that she didn't even come out of mourning for about 10 years.
And actually, she wasn't. I think people with Queen Victoria forget that she was a young princess at one time.
Right, she was thin.
You get the image that she was this figure that we get of Queen Victoria, and she wasn't.
She was thin. Apparently, she was thin, attractive. Everybody in Europe wanted to marry her. And then
she had a lot of
how many children? 6, 8 children.
Yeah, she was.
And all I can say about it is that when she went into mourning, she basically then just.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, actually, to have that amount of children in that era, I wonder if she even had more than that. I wonder if she had more than that, because a lot of women, they unfortunately they had miscarriages, or the baby were born.
Medical was.
Because we forget about the medical side of things. That's why they had big families. I mean, that was the thing, wasn't it? When A, there'd be no contraception much, and B, of course, the theory was that the more kids you would have, the more will survive, because there may some children, because of all the diseases, you'd go to some graveyards and you can see Victorian children, young infants. There were a lot of deaths.
My family line dies with me.
Yeah.
I'm the son of my father. My dad's brother had a girl.
Yeah.
My sister's got 2 kids, but she's married, so the line doesn't carry on in regards to the surname on that side.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, the line dies with me, and I haven't got a child. So
I've got a brother, but he hasn't got any children.
Yeah,
it totally dies with me, because I've got my son, but he's not going to have any kids. No. Well, he still could, but I doubt it. I'd be very surprised.
At the end of the day, I could put my sperm in a sperm bank. I mean, at the end of the day, if things get any tighter around here, I'll probably be doing that each week, and then I'll be able to buy my DVDs
again. Sounds a good price. What films are included? Never seen The Crown. No, I've never seen it. No. Oh, hey, hello. You've got ginger movies and TV. All right, we're doing really grand, even if we are a bit late today. But it wasn't our fault, honest. No, seriously,
it was
StreamYard.
That was StreamYard's fault.
Yeah. So it wasn't me being thick and stupid again. Right. Here we are. Now, next one. Hi, Jim Jam. Tony Hawk, The Searchers, Chosen, Rio Bravo. Yeah, that pops up everywhere. KL United. I've not heard of that. States Marshal. I've heard of The Searchers because that's Constance Wayne's classic film. And Rio Bravo, I think, has had a 4K release.
Yeah, I've got
James Stewart in it. Is it James Stewart in it? I think it is. I think James Stewart.
I don't know if I can find it quickly.
Yeah.
I really have got to get sorted.
You better need to get that sorted out.
Really am. No, I'm not going to find it quickly.
No. It's just behind Mr. Spock here.
Yeah, no. Bloody hell. I really have got to get this sorted.
Yeah.
Is that it? Jesus. No, that's Creator. All Quiet on the Western Front and 2, Sorex, Wonka. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to find it.
I don't think I'm going to find it.
No.
Shame.
Right. Okay. Now, I got the next one.
I thought I saw it. But... Oh, well.
Yeah, now here we are.
I'll get it next time.
This sounds like a carry-on one. Right. Here we are. Can't beat a battered sausage and chips. You can't. You can't, lad.
That's when we were talking. That's when I was talking about chip shortage.
Here we are now. Tony Hawk, Post Media Live, Physical Media Live. Sorry. The Searchers is regarded as classic. Yeah, must admit it's not my favorite of his, but well worth watching. That's interesting. Yeah.
I tell you, there's a lot of films that if you look at the history of the actors, they'll say this is the standout film. Some of them will turn around and say, nah, they're not. Like some people would have said True Grit, and I'd have gone, do you know what? I've watched True Grit, and I don't think that's a particularly
I'm saying lots of films,
But it's just that some people are synonymous with a name, you know, like a title. Like Casablanca for Bogart. Well, some people will turn around and say that's the quintessential Bogart film, but other people might turn around and say, are you kidding me? You seen the Maltese Falcon or the...
But I would say it's The Big Sleep for me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's just that's what people remember. It's like...
Yeah, I agree. I like Casablanca, and I can see why, but I wouldn't put it as his greatest film. I can see why, though. I can see why people do.
Oh, what's that film that Clint Eastwood did that was based on a Bogart film? It was on the river, wasn't it? That Bogart did. He did a...
yeah. Oh, did he do one on the Bogart one? I didn't know that.
Oh, the famous one that Bogart did. That's on the
Indian... I know, and the name has just come. I know which one you mean.
African Queen.
That's it. The penny drop. Then, yeah.
Didn't Clint Eastwood try and do the African Queen in one of his films? I'm pretty
sure. Physical Media Live. Tony Hawk. I've seen a box set on eBay for £40 with more films. Not sure how many there are. £40. I would expect quite a lot. I think for
if it's anything like a Hitchcock collection, or if it's anything like a Clint Eastwood collection, 40 quid will get you quite a few John Wayne films.
If it's Blu-ray, though.
Yes, so yeah.
I don't know. You know,
could have about 4 in it.
Yeah. Physical Media Life. Some box sets may have films with non-Western roles of his, if you don't mind them. Yeah. I suspect they will. Yeah. And Anton Diffring is the default World War II German officer. He's everywhere in all that period. And I would like John Wayne's entire catalogue if possible. Well, you're gonna have to go with DVDs, and I'm sure you can really pick up some of his early ones really quite cheap. Mind you, some might not have been released. I mean, some things released. We forget, amazed that even on DVD. There's not everything is out there, is it? You know, so
I remember being a very, very young whippersnapper, and my dad turning around and saying to me, he said, "You know that character that you like in Star Trek, who's the Doctor?" And I said, "Yeah, DeForest Kelly." Right?
Yeah.
You do know he was in lots of westerns, don't you? Was he really?
Yeah.
Right. And yet I've never really had the gumption to go onto Wikipedia, put it in, and find out what those westerns were. I don't know how many you did, right?
I've heard that exactly what you.
And I have not seen many films of him with him in, right?
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where I keep meaning to do that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, I haven't seen a western for quite a while, quite a few years.
But I'm a big Jimmy Stewart.
As I said, the only one I've got. Dances with Wolves.
I'm a big Jimmy Stewart fan, so I want to watch a lot more of his.
Yeah, they seem on. If you look on YouTube, they seem to be a big thing now, becoming, lots of people are going on about them. I mean, I did watch all those spaghetti westerns. They were on the TV all the time at one time, weren't they? You could watch them quite a few times. Physical Media Life, I will just have reviews on my videos for the next month for movies. Yeah. Let's have a look.
I did my last capsule review in anger, really, and I should never have done it. And that was somewhere in time, right? Because it kept coming up in my friends' comments, right? There was one person who mentioned it in this is my pickups for this month. There was one that brought it up because they said it was close to the Time After Time.
Yeah.
And I went, you what? Time After Time is nothing like Somewhere in Time. What the bloody hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then somebody else mentioned it, and I went, do you know what? I'm going to stop all this bollocks.
Good. Well done.
Somewhere in Time is one of my favorite films. I'm going to do a review of it.
Nothing like the others. No.
I said, how in the right mind does anybody say that Somewhere in Time, which is a thought-provoking time travel story romance, anything to do with H.G. Wells' Time Machine and chasing Jack the Ripper?
Yeah.
I mean, the only similarity between the two is they've got time written in the title. Yeah, that's about it.
That's it. That's so true, actually. Tony York says, Physical Media Life, quite a few go at 1930s to 1970s. That's
John Wayne's era.
That is a big period of time.
Was it 74 he died?
Yeah, probably. I think so. I think you're right around about that.
Somewhere around there.
I know for various reasons, near end of his career, he became quite controversial, didn't he? In terms of his.
He's another one like Charlton Heston about gun laws.
Yeah,
but he was very much. Was he a Republican?
Yes, he was very much so.
You tend to find.
I think he didn't like the. Do you remember at the Oscars? The Marlon Brando won an Oscar, didn't he? And he did turn up. He sent an Indian lady to talk about Native American rights, and apparently John Wayne was absolutely furious about it. He really made his point. Let's have a look. Physical Media Life. Del, with VR, I can see my hands or legs when using VR. It still freaks me out.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. Tony York, is it 79 John Wayne films in total? I don't know. Tony will know.
I mean, I'd have to.
That was supposed to be a joke about the number of films. I haven't a clue. Oh, well, thank you. So we were taking it. I was taking it serious. I thought, he actually has Googled it. Yeah, but well done, lad. You've done a joke.
You know what he did there, don't you? He went 1930 to 1970, 40 years. 2 times 40 is 80. So I'll say 79 films.
Yeah. No, I think he was on about. Do you remember the total number of films made?
Oh right, yeah. I see.
What was it?
He was talking about the 79 John Wayne films. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I thought. Maybe it could be right. According to Google, there is here we are. Physical Media Life. According to Google, there's 285 UK films that still don't believe that.
So they reckon there is only 285 UK films in existence.
No, that is rubbish.
Ealing did more than that.
That's absolutely rubbish.
I mean, 31 of those is Carry On films.
Yeah, exactly.
Bloody hell.
And what about all the Hammer films?
A
lot of Hammer films, I'll tell you. Physical Media Life. According to IBM, John Wayne has 184. That's probably one thing. Acting credits. As Ian said, he really churned them out in the 1930s. That's what I thought. It's the 30s where he was, because of probably what you said about attached to a studio. They really were churning.
Yeah.
I mean,
It'd have been a
really.
job. It would have been contractual actor in the
Yeah.
30s. Everybody was.
Yeah.
Contractual actors tied to a studio and told whatever he needed to do per week, and he got a weekly wage.
Yeah. Tony York, wow, that is a lot. I will make it a goal to get them all somehow.
Oh, Jesus.
You're going to have a hell of a job. As I say, I don't know whether some of them would be released on DVD even. I don't know.
Some of them will be listed, and they'll basically say that film got lost in the war. Or
and they may well have done. They may well have got lost. Some of these films do. It's another thing. They may we may have the credit, we may have the paperwork about these films, but in archives, they disappear, don't they? And as you've mentioned about the quality of the film, how they've been stored, they could just disappear. If nobody's restoring them, there you are. Physical media life. I like to think the vast majority of his early ones will never have had a physical release. The
vast majority of the early ones will probably have never had a physical release.
Yeah. Queen Victoria was good looking lass, and I much prefer her from the other royal members. Well, yes, I know she was when she was young. Definitely.
Like I said, when she was young, and even after she had her children, she was still good. It's just that I think what happened was she went into mourning, and then basically she just let herself go. And then of course it's very difficult to reverse things like that back then.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Tony York, are they on Laserdisc or VHS? Oh, the ones that perhaps haven't made it to DVD. I wouldn't have thought they'd be on Laserdisc, but you never know. Maybe VHS. VHS may have had some.
Yeah, the most obscure titles when Laserdiscs were out were on the Criterion collection.
And
otherwise it had to be a well-known film, otherwise it never sold. So Criterion was the only one that was really obscure.
Yeah. I mean, the VHS did put out a lot of
with VHS, it was anybody's game because you just basically put tape in and record,
Some of it was very low quality. You could see even
budget labels. You could take it like this. Quality. Take it like this. You could buy the Carry On films on tape on a weekly basis as a part works.
Oh yes, yeah.
And the DVD collection of Clint Eastwood is well known. You could buy the whole Clint Eastwood collection. It came out as a part works.
Wow. Yeah.
Every 2 weeks there was a magazine with one film by Clint Eastwood on it each week.
I can't imagine how all your shelves were filled up with all those bloody things. Oh God! No wonder we didn't have any room. And as soon as DVD came along, right, I'm getting rid of all those buggers. And I did. I got rid of all my VHS. It was exciting because I was like starting again, and I was so fed up. And now, of course, I wish I'd have kept some box sets. I did have some nice box sets, like the Star Trek films. I had them all in a big, massive, beautiful box set.
Oh, I had the box that was made of cardboard, but it made up the Enterprise on the spine.
But no, I was so cross at the time, and I thought, and to me, they weren't worth anything. Get rid of them all, and I did. But in a way, I don't regret it because I just didn't have the room. I mean, just didn't simply. That's how you have to put it down. Right, next one. Physical media in life. No idea, to be honest. I'm guessing ones from the 30s won't be popular enough to warrant a release. Apart from well-known ones like, Stagecoach. And that's 1939 as well. And I have one called The First Rebel, also 1939. Notice 1939, not before that, which I know he did before Stagecoach, which brought him into the sort of limelight.
Because he went into the army. He went into the army, didn't he? So of course,
he was doing all sorts of these really westerns, that were just churned out.
His movie career would have been on hold while he went into the army and did a couple of years in the war. So.
Tony Hawk. There's still so many films not released. It's a shame, as such great work is lost. I mean, sadly, there are films that will never get released and have probably been lost, and it's an unfortunate thing. You imagine how alt silent films that have disappeared from the archives. There must be a hell of a lot. There must be really a lot. But there we are. That's how it is. Physical Media. I recently picked up The Time Machine. Well, that is a great film, a fantastic film, and of course, it came out in 1960, which was an absolute classic year. 1960. Apart from me being born of that year, but we have, of course, 1960 Psycho and Peeping Tom. And we'll put Peeping Tom in because it's a film that now is starting to get recognition with its 4K release. But Peeping Tom is quite an important picture. And it came out just before Psycho, but never got any recognition. In many ways, we've got Scorsese to thank for bringing Peeping Tom into America and getting a lot more publicity because he recognized how good it was. Whereas in this country, Peeping Tom, it was treated as like a dirty porno film, and it was forced underground. There you are. Anyhow, I've gone on, but that's an interesting history if you ever read up about that Peeping Tom. Tony York, yes, charity shops find the cover. Sorry, Tony York, yes, charity shops find the cover art. Took me. Yeah, cover art. It does that, and sometimes you have the most wonderful cover art, and the film is rubbish. It's an unfortunate. Physical Media Live, great film.
Yeah, they're all talking about The Time Machine, aren't they?
Yeah. I had 2 episodes per VHS of Star Trek. Oh, yeah, I know. I remember them. Wish I'd kept a few. Yeah, I do. I wish I'd have kept a few. It was, yeah, it's nostalgia. I said buying them from W.H. Smith's. Do you remember buying them from W.H. Smith's?
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, and they were great. And guess what?
Just bear with me.
Sorry.
Oh. There we go. I knew I had it somewhere. The Time Machine.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Again, the HMV Premier Collection again.
And you ought to do a review of it.
Yeah, that's just I was doing too many of the HMV ones. Every single one was a HMV Premier release.
It's such
I haven't done one Steelbook yet, and that's what I've got 900 of them.
I reviewed it, I think, quite a while ago, but I did review it. Yeah, I did review it. It's well worth reviewing.
It's George Pal. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It is a great film. It's one of those films that you think,
wow. I bought it for £4. Look at
that.
Well. Number 18 in the Premier Collection.
Yeah. There's some people do collect those Premier collections, don't they?
Well, they were a big thing.
Yeah.
I bought the ones that I were really interested in. They were things like Ray Harryhausen and things like that.
I haven't got that many. I've got a few.
And all of that.
Yeah.
But Ray Harryhausen, really, if you want his collection, you really want to go down the Entrada route, really.
What's that label?
Yeah, the Entrada. They got a sale on at the moment. You can buy things like the 7th Voyage of Sinbad and the Golden Voyage of Sinbad and Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. They're all a £5 at the moment.
Oh, that's the Powerhouse thing.
Yeah, Entrada label, isn't it?
Powerhouse yeah, I've seen that. The one that the one that I really want, which I haven't got, is Jason and the Argonauts. I must get that in my collection.
Got that on Laserdisc.
I love that one. Absolutely love it. I haven't got it in my collection. Not even on. I might have it on DVD, but it's one that I definitely need on
And somebody asked me a really good question this weekend, and it was my friend Denny. He said,
Yeah.
he asked me the question, why do you think Doug McClure films are considered to be cult classics these days? The films like Journey to the Center of the Earth and all of those sort of films, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I had to answer the question honestly, and I just turned around and said, you know what? I'm a glutton for a period piece. They were all over the Saturday morning kids stuff at the cinema. They had people from the Hammer horror films like Peter Cushing and that. And who doesn't want to believe that there are dinosaurs under your feet?
It doesn't matter. Because, if anybody says to me things are far fetched, I start.
Warlords of Atlantis.
Doesn't matter. It's great. It's wonderful. It's just fantastic. I mean, who doesn't want to see Racco Welsh running around?
Oh yeah,
dinosaurs. Even if she doesn't say much, it doesn't matter. It's a great film.
It's amazing that all those Doug McClure ones, they all seem to be around the Victorian age. It's always always got some sort of submarine that looks like it was made out of clockwork bits.
It's like the first Men on the Moon, isn't it?
Oh, that's a brilliant film, and that's another Ray Harryhausen film.
Yeah, Victorian.
What's the name of the liquid in that film?
Go on, you can tell me. Go on.
It was Cavorite.
Oh, was it?
Do you remember he called it Cavorite, and you spray it, you put it on it, boil it had to go to a certain temperature. You had to boil it, you had to cover the spaceship up in it, and it had to use light, so you had to use blinds to make it travel, didn't it? It defied gravity, didn't it? It was called Cavorite.
Do you know, that's another film I haven't seen for quite a long time. I know.
Over there. Over there. Again.
Another one.
Like I said, I love these films. They are First Men in the Moon.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. That's on Indicator. Oh, I might, I'm getting tempted.
Yeah, it's in their sale for $5 today.
I get paid on Friday, so I may delve into that. I think I might do. I've been looking already. I get excited when I know I'm getting paid. So I think, what we're going to get this month.
Yeah, the other ones that are there are Gulliver's Travels.
I've not seen that.
It came from 20,000. No, it came from space. That's another. It's one of those early Ray Harryhausen ones that was colorized, but it shows you the black and white and the color one on the same disc. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I've already worked on HMV. I've got a sale, and I've picked out a Hammer film which I've not got in my collection, and it's not a powerhouse one. It's Oliver Reed's Psychomania. I've got to get that because in my collection. I noticed that they've got a sale on, haven't they? HMV with some, and there were 2 for 15.
I mean, I keep buying the steel books, but somebody has just asked this on. That's why I've gone to my shelves again.
Yeah,
that's the Doug McClure one, the Lost World,
right.
The Land That Time Forgot. Warlords of Atlantis, At the Earth's Core, and The Land That Time Forgot. You can get that pretty much for £6 on Amazon.
That's really cheap. Yeah. Is that Blu-ray?
No, you can only get it on DVD. Every it's a Studio Canal as well.
Oh right, they're good Studio Canal. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I must. I'll have to make some decisions that weekend.
And it's just one of those ones where it's from my. It's a film, and B, it's from my childhood. So
yeah.
And when somebody turns around and says to me, "Do you remember things like Greyfriars Bobby?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I remember that. Seeing that as a kid. That dog that's basically that sleeps every night on the graveyard in Scotland. Yeah, that's the one." I go, "Oh well, now I've got to look for it because now it's like,
I like that.
Somebody out the blue will say
Yeah.
The Railway Children or The Amazing Mr. Blunden.
Actually, you've just said it again. That's another on my list. I've got to get Blu-ray of Railway Children.
Well, to me, it's The Amazing Mr. Blunden.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. But Railway Children, I remember because it was the railway scenes were done at Keighley and Worth Valley Railway, and I remember going there to visit where Bernard Cribbins was. They were like tours almost, and we'd go on the railway, and it was fantastic. Seeing where Bernard Cribbins was doing all his thing on station, and I just remember all that. And Keighley,
to me, you see, the Amazing Mr. Blunden was more about seeing this nice old man saying, "Help me out, kiddies."
Yeah.
Because something wrong happened in the past, and I need you.
Right.
It's like a ghost story, and then you got it mixed in with, oh look, you can go in your garden and find these chemicals, can you? You can go back in time. Well, I'm going to start looking in our back garden then, and see if I can find it, because this is the sort of age I was. Right.
No,
and then you're watching this Diana Dawes horrible old lady that was being horrible to these things, and at the end of the film, the wrong thing that happened was righted, and it had a beautiful music score. Beautiful music score. And it's just one that sticks with me because it's a ghost story, a kid's ghost story, basically.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I kind of think that lots of kids' movies, they all had happy endings, which is right, really. You couldn't put a dark ending. You couldn't have a really bad ending.
I remember the one thing that sticks out about that film, at the end, all of the actors say goodbye. They go, goodbye.
Yeah, that's good.
There's the two kids go, goodbye. Hope you enjoyed the film. Come back.
I kind of like that.
Diana Dawes was there going goodbye and all this sort of stuff. And that was really weird at the end. It was almost like, when you saw Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, it was like having the signatures and they all disappeared,
fantastic,
right? It was the last one, so you had William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and all that. So all of these actors that came back saying goodbye, hope you enjoyed the film. Because it was
Marvel copied
it was a reminder as well that it was a film. That's all it is. It's just a film, people.
That's right. That's why people make me laugh. They do when they're saying, "Oh, it's far-fetched and it's not real." That would never have happened. But it doesn't matter.
I bought the Amazing Mr. Blunden in 4K in a deluxe set. It was 60 quid. Came with the book.
60 quid. Wow.
Yeah.
But you'll pay it if you really want it. I know I would for something special. Definitely.
It came in a box, just much like the Wicker Man.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was like that.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic. I remember having the VHS copy of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in one of those rental things, the Warner Brothers Black. I should have kept that. I chucked that away. That's probably one thing I should really have kept for sentimental reasons.
I had the VHS. I had the VHS tape of Disney's Fantasia in a great big.
Did you?
Which had a ribbon around it. It had a picture of Mickey as the wizard on the front.
Yeah.
If you opened it up, it had an individual number plaque with the tape in the center box.
Yeah.
And it was like 70 or 80 quid. And then I don't know what happened to it. I don't know where it is because it was a VHS and I don't remember giving it to anybody, and yet I can't find it.
Well, it might be. Is it, do you keep all your stuff in the garage, is it?
No, but when I did sound my house.
When
I did sound my house and I brought things back down to where I live.
Yeah.
Part way between coming back was my granddad's house. So he dropped a load of stuff off in his room because he was basically he was in his 80s and he's got a 3-bedroomed house.
Yeah.
So it was all just for a short period of time. And then the rest was brought down. And then what I couldn't find space for here, I put into storage.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff remained in my granddad's house. And then, of course, what happens is life happens, doesn't it? Yeah. I ended up not going all the time to my granddad's to visit him. And for all I know, the family just went into that room and borrowed films, watched film, and never brought them back.
Yeah.
For all I know, a lot of stuff was picked up and sold, and I would right underneath my
Yeah.
eye, I wasn't there because he lived 20 miles away. So I'm not going to be keeping my eye on it, am I? So
Yeah.
when he actually had to go into hospital, where he ended up where he died, basically.
Yeah.
He died during of COVID, actually.
Really?
He, he'd been in the nursing home for 2 years, and I was told that they'd sold the house, and I had to take all my stuff back.
Oh,
When I was
right.
taking all my stuff back, it managed to fit in the boot of my car. Yet when I dropped it off, I needed a van. So that just about proves that stuff
Yeah.
went.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a funny feeling. Yeah, they probably took an awful lot of it.
One
My
thing
family on my mum's side.
oh, crikey. The vultures.
I don't mind it because if it
Yeah.
stayed in the family, it's fine.
Yeah.
What I don't like about it is A, I don't know if that did happen, and B,
Yeah.
whether they just sold it to get some money together so they could go on holiday
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than have it because they wanted it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I've made mistakes, and one of my mistakes was putting lots of stuff in a loft and forgetting I'd put it there, and then we moved. And then a few years later, you think, do you know, it's like that.
It's all up there.
It sort of dawns on you. It honestly suddenly dawned on me. I was like that. How could I have left all this stuff behind? And there was some wonderful stuff, the archive stuff in my life, and it was
Yeah.
all my a lot of Leeds United memorabilia I had, and lots of
programs and
stuff.
things.
Yeah, when Leeds were just the great team they were, late 60s, early 70s, there was loads of stuff like that.
Are you going to go up this year to the Premiership? Do you think?
I hope so, but I hope if we go into playoffs, we don't do well in playoffs.
So
We need to go straight
third,
up.
aren't you?
We came Leicester, fortunately, lost to Millwall, and Leeds are now second, but
I thought
it's
they were third.
Ipswich are the ones that will soon. Well, I think when they play, I don't know if if there's been a game in hand today.
Because I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but if I remember rightly, Coventry beat Leeds about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, they did. That was when that was the last game.
As you know, I'm a Coventry supporter, so I sort of
I
kept
know
my mouth
you are.
shut.
I saw that.
When I was speaking to you, I thought, I wonder if he knows
Yeah,
that I'm a
I
Coventry
saw
supporter.
that. I was so pissed off. I didn't even put a post on Facebook of it. I'm terrible supporter. If we lose, I don't like it. I get really. Oh, I'm not going to bother with that. Pretend it didn't happen. But yeah, it was the game before we drew against Sunderland, which was not a very good result. Really, we should have beaten them. And the game before was the Coventry game.
Yeah.
And things were going really well, and then suddenly we come against Coventry and just mess up. But there we are. So I suppose you've got to say it's keeping the season interesting, but really I don't want to go in the playoffs. We've got to try and get up automatically.
Coventry are trying to get into the playoff places. They're one below it.
And you could end up just sneaking in and then end up going up. It does happen.
That's what I mean. They were in the playoffs last year.
If you're on a good run,
they went to the final. And it ended up a draw, and it went to penalties, and they lost on penalties.
Oh, that is on penalty. Oh, that is tragic. That is
so
terrible.
At the moment, they're trying to get into the playoffs again.
Yeah. Oh no.
They're 5 points adrift. I don't think they'll do it. They lost yesterday 2-1.
Oh. So why did you beat us?
Too many draws. That's the trouble. Too many draws.
Yeah. I mean, Leeds have been really good this season. Apart from, there is one player that Leeds United supporters shake their heads at. It's Bamford.
I'm just going to wave. I'm just going to wave at Physical Media Live because he's about to go. So, bye.
Bye. So yeah. Do you know? I should be putting these up.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to wave at him.
No, it's all right. I'm just looking at these. I've been so busy talking. I've been forgetting about what's here. Let's have a look. Land that time was what first. Yeah, Tony. So Tony was still. Yeah, he hasn't disappeared. He's been listening. Yeah, this is it now, Tony. Land That Time Forgot was the first film I saw at the cinema. Oh, wow! So, what year would that be then? What year is Land That Time Forgot?
I don't know if I've got my light on.
Yeah. I'm trying to guess your age, roughly. That's right. Tony.
There's 3 films on here, so it's very difficult to see what year is anything on here. All of Atlantis is all right. That's 70s. Looks like a 70s film, but I'm going to check it.
Now, this is interesting because I remember, I think, Tony, Oliver Reed is in the other film with the psycho bikers, but he is in Psychomania, I'm sure. There's another. It was a very strange Hammer film, which started off as you thought was like this youth film with bikers, and then it suddenly went into a science fiction film in America, and it's a very sort of strange. Well, I think it was in this island, and there were these kids being held underground and what have you. But it was a very strange film because it started off with this wonderful sort of 60s view of what biker life was like, and they were all going around in these gangs and what have you. And then it suddenly switched to a science fiction film. But Psychomania is Oliver Reed.
Land That Time Forgot, by the way. Land That Time Forgot, by the way, is 1974.
Oh, right. So I'm guessing on your age then. Yeah. A bit younger than me. Mind you, everybody is at the moment on here. Danny Hughes. Oh, Danny. Welcome, Danny. Yeah, you're here. How are you all? We're all doing well. We're all here talking away still. And Physical Media Life. Night all, Tony York. I've enjoyed chatting as always. Got to get up early in the morning for hospital appointment. Great.
That's why I was waving. That's why I was waving, because he was about to go.
Yeah, you're probably not. No, you've gone now. But anyhow, bye. Thank you anyhow as usual for joining. Yeah, thank you. And
thanks for subbing.
Yeah. Have you got nearer 200 yet?
Oh, I don't know.
Have a look. It's still 290. I mean, 198.
199.
Oh, 199. Sorry. God, we only need one. Please, give us somebody who just hasn't subbed to him.
Yeah, but you know what'll happen? It'll go to 200, and then just as I'm just doing a special, somebody unsubs, and it'll go 199.
I'll give you a tip. I'll give you a tip. What I do is when I reach my milestones, I never do it on exactly the same number. I always go over a few.
It's got to
guarantee somebody will unsub you. So
yeah, it's going to be 202 or something.
Yeah, otherwise. That's what I do. I never, because I get people saying, "Hey, you've reached that number," and I go, "Shh, don't tell everybody. Just let it go over a few." Oh dear.
Anyway, we're nearly there. 199.
Right, come on. Anybody, but there won't be anybody new here. Right.
There's only 5 watching, and they've all probably subbed.
Yeah. Physical Media Light. Good night. I almost nodded off as not a football fan here. What?
Can understand. No, I can understand that. It can turn a lot of people off football.
Yeah, it can. It divides people. But if what about cricket? If you're a Yorkshireman as well.
Well, that's what I mean. Parky didn't get where he was, did he? By talking about cricket on his talking show.
Of course, if you're born in Yorkshire, it used to be that you could play for Yorkshire, but nobody else.
That's
But
right.
now, of course,
Yeah.
we've moved with times, and any
When you say you
moved,
when you say you moved with the times, but a couple of years ago, it was a disgraceful thing, wasn't it? What happened?
yeah. Oh God, the
Racism.
racist thing.
Yeah.
Actually, from what I saw of the people in charge, it didn't surprise me at all.
Right.
Which is a
I mean, I don't
terrible
know.
thing.
I just heard.
It didn't.
I heard all about it. And
Yeah,
went,
it
bloody
didn't
hell.
surprise me, and it was a disgrace. And hopefully they'll get past that. But
No, they brought in a totally new
it was,
director, a new blood, and all that sort of.
yeah,
And
it's
that
it, it
never
was awful. I couldn't believe it. Well, I could believe it. That thing is, when it came out, the revelations, I wasn't really surprised, which shows you how.
The only thing that came out of that for me was it just proves what my father said. What my father said, which is, he said, first impressions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He turned around and said, if you get the first impressions right, you're great. You can destroy hundreds of years of good things by one bad thing happening.
Yeah, it can.
It's like a deck of cards.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, so there you are. You can have hundreds of years of golden years, and then if somebody then mentions something like racist or something, you can basically obliterate it all.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like that.
Exactly.
And that's what I think happened with Yorkshire. And the cricket
yeah. Going back to football, on the other hand, I'm proud of Leeds United that we had black players going right back. When I was following them,
who was their manager during the 80s? He was Irish.
Oh, it's he was the manager of Arsenal for a time, a player, Liam. Somebody else. I'm terrible. I told you my brain goes.
Was he Irish?
Yes, he was. I know exactly what you mean. I'm sure it was Liam. Somebody. What was his name?
Leeds were always at the top of the division, and it was.
Well, we did well in that period. We got to semi-finals of the European Cup. I don't know if it was Champions League, though. Of course, we did get in final under Reve. Well, no, it was Jimmy Armfield who was manager in 1976 in Paris, and we got robbed by a crooked referee, and it's all come out afterwards.
I just remember Leeds being I just remember Leeds being in what they considered the first division then.
Yeah,
always being at the top. You know, or near the top. Coventry were always at the bottom.
Yeah, but you stayed in though, didn't you?
Always at the end of the bloody season. There was one game to go, and they'd win because some other team beat whoever it was, and they stayed up.
People would say, "Oh, they're never going to go down," and you did go down, unfortunately for you. But people didn't believe you'd go down.
It was 2 years into moving into their new ground that they went down.
Oh,
and they just kept going down. They went first division, second division, third division.
You went down, oh crikey! You went right.
They went to virtually national.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something interesting. Leeds United went down to the.
We're going to turn these people off, you know. We're going to turn these people off. He doesn't like football. And here we are talking football.
I'll just say this: we were in first division when Manchester City were in the first division. When Manchester City went down. Anyway.
Manchester City went all the way like Coventry did, all the way down.
Let's see. The year of Zulu, yes.
1964.
64, sorry. Yep, brilliant. Let's have a look. Yep, already subscribed.
Good old Danny.
I'm trying. Thank you, Danny. You're a very supporter. My late uncle was a big Leeds United fan in the 70s. Yep, there you are. I won't
Somebody
go on.
had to be. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Somebody had to be.
And my hero, of course, was Billy Bremner. Bremner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going back.
I got his autograph as a young lad. And you know what? I told you earlier about the loft.
You know, I bet you it's up there.
It is. It was. There
You,
was.
yeah, you know, it's either in the antiques. It's
Yeah.
either on the Antiques Roadshow or
Yeah.
somebody sold it.
Yeah.
I'll say that now.
Yeah. I remember my mum took me to see them, and there were Billy Bremner, Johnny Giles, and Peter Lorimer, and they were signing. And I went up, and they signed the team photograph, and I can see him now. I was, but I was nervous. You know, when you meet somebody that you, I was only a little boy, and it just, yeah, I just remember it. But how stupid. Anyway, I mean, I'll talk about that. It's so terrible. Why I would do that? We do things that there's so many things sometimes going on in your life that you're doing this and that you just suddenly forget something. I don't know why. It just drops. It's because it doesn't seem important. And then suddenly you realize it just hit me like that. God knows what was in there. There was all sorts of things in there.
It's a shame. It's a shame you sort of like we can't have the sort of neighborhoods anymore where you could actually go up to them and say, "Look, I used to own this house. Look, here's some pictures of me actually in this house and that." There was a family heirloom that used to be in the attic.
Yeah.
And I've been told that it could possibly still be here. Do you mind?
Can you imagine somebody saying?
Because I bet you just love it if they came and said, "Yeah, we found all these programs. We don't want you." No, they're going to go.
Yeah.
No, but thanks for telling us. Yeah. That's what'll happen.
You can see it, can't you? Oh no. Why? Where's
the BBC's Antique Roadshow this week?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll look in the Radio Times. I think it says it's near here.
I'll kill them. Oh dear. Actually, they're probably not worth a massive amount, but it's more. A lot. It's just
it's worth more than it's worth more than they know they're there.
Yeah. Actually, I'll tell you something. I have looked on eBay for his autograph, and it occasionally pops up. Though, of course, you're still wondering when you're buying whether they're the genuine thing, and they are quite expensive. They are selling them.
I always look at it like this: if you've got a signature that was given to somebody else, then it doesn't seem the same anyway because you weren't there and had it. You can almost see him writing it to the person that actually owned it, and therefore it's not really yours.
You see,
even though I owned it, even if I bought it legitimately off of eBay, I still wouldn't think it was mine.
Yeah. Now, I think you've got an interesting point because I collect. Well, I don't collect them I've had to stop because it's just too expensive. But I did collect a lot of stamps related covers and things.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a lot of Doctor Who related signatures of doctors and things like that. And what happens is these companies of stamps, they produce these beautiful covers, absolutely beautiful covers of really great covers. I plug. If you go in my playlist, you will find I did a video quite a while ago of going through my collection. Anyhow, to cut a long story short, these people come along like Fraser Hines, say, and he'll do, maybe 100, 200 sign the covers.
Yeah.
And they're legitimate. That they've been done because they get.
Trouble is, everybody wants now a certificate of authenticity where you've got a picture of you while he's signing it. Otherwise, it's not real.
Yeah. I've got John Pertwee's autograph, and I know that's genuine as well. But the one I wanted, I couldn't get. Of course, Patrick Troughton. Extremely difficult to get hold of Patrick Troughton. But it is. I think it is nowadays even more, isn't it? That people must be the signatures. It's very difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I've got Tom Baker's. I've got.
He signs a lot.
I got Tom Peter Davidson.
Yeah.
I went to the convention at the 20th anniversary.
All
But
right. Yeah.
I didn't have Patrick Troughton's. I wish I did.
Yeah, I do. Um, I did. I did go for. I got offered because I was in a first day cover club kind of thing that run by a company, Buckingham, and they are very authentic. You know, you're buying genuine, and they did offer a Patrick Troughton and a rare one with John Pertwee and William Hartnell all signed,
Oh,
and
the
it was
three doctors,
definitely
yeah.
authentic. Do you know how much they were charged? They were asking,
No, I
and it
bet a
was
couple of
sold
them
out
were
really quick. 1,000. They were
1,000, was it?
charging 1,000, and it sold out
I know my friend had
really
one.
quickly.
I know my friend had one from the Omen. He had a
Yeah.
signed
Oh,
Omen. He had a signed Omen
wow.
Patrick Troughton picture.
Oh.
But that's the only signature I've seen of his.
Oh.
Not a
Mm.
Doctor Who related one either. It's the Omen one.
Yeah. Still, mind you, what a film to have anyhow.
Well,
That
it
would be
is.
fantastic.
And the one
Oh,
thing I don't like doing too much is finding too much about his family life, because I've heard that he wasn't the nicest of fathers, and I don't want to
yeah.
destroy my
Yeah.
my thinking of him as a
Mm,
as an actor, because
yeah.
I don't
Well,
think
yeah.
I don't think it would be much of a revelation for me to know that he was a womanizer and that he had affairs.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to
Yeah.
disrupt my thinking of him when I think of him
Yeah.
as a doctor. So I shy away. But
Yeah.
I have read, all of his sons, because
Yeah.
they've also been in Doctor Who, haven't they?
Yeah.
His sons.
I'll tell you what is sad is that when you find out about somebody who you really like and that they've not done things, you have to, unfortunately, you have to just think, well, no, I can't. I know people say you can't help it, because if you really like somebody, you're not going to change the way you feel about somebody. I'm going to be honest,
Yeah.
like, for instance, Woody Allen. I'm going to
Oh
say,
Christ, yeah.
his early films, I absolutely love his early films. I think he
Well,
did.
before, yeah, bananas and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love all the early stuff, but I mean, we know about him,
Oh yeah.
and it's what can you do? And he never looked.
What was that sex? What was that sex one?
Oh,
Everything you wanted to
everything you
know
know
about
about
sex,
that.
but was
That's
afraid to ask.
brilliant. One of my funniest ones in there is when they're in the sperm.
That's got Burt Reynolds in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it does. Do you remember they're in the inside
The
he's in
sperm.
the sperm, and it's so funny that. And there's what's his name, Gene Wilder in it with a sheep. It's quite funny. It's how can anybody fall in love with a sheep? And it's crazy. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Not everybody would get that humor, but it is very funny.
I think, like I said, I think the first Woody Allen film that I was introduced to was Bananas.
Oh, I love that as well. Bananas.
That is quite an early film. And then, of course, my mate told me, Jay, you keep saying that Dr. No was the first James Bond, but actually it was Casino Royale. And have you seen the Casino Royale with David Niven? He was the first Bond, and Woody Allen was a Bond in it. I was going, how can you have two Bonds? He said, actually, there was about 7 Bonds in this film. I went, that's really weird. What the hell are you talking about? And this is at the beginning of me learning about films. I was going, well, that sounds really weird to me.
Yeah.
You're making it all up.
Have you seen Woody Allen's Sleeper? That's a set in the future when he wakes up in the future. It's hilarious.
Wakes up in the future, doesn't he? That's it,
They're all the early ones. And he does a Bogart one. Play it again, Sam.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one? That was brilliant.
Well, like I said, it was Michael Caine won for Hannah and Her Sisters, didn't he? For an Oscar.
That possibly is one of the there's perhaps a couple
you
more.
all know there's Manhattan and Annie Hall and all
Manhattan is you can't argue with photography. But they're saying, but look, he was having relationships even in the films with younger girls, but they're not underage.
No.
They may be younger, and it may look, but what else can you say? And I don't. It's one of those things. I don't know. There's so many films and artists you could point.
I will say this, and I don't want to be a party pooper, but we're 3 minutes away from midnight.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, there's still some more comment. I thought we'd finished.
3 minutes away from midnight.
Right, I will gather. There was a comment before the Zulu one, Ian. Oh, was that?
Yeah, he was talking about another Oliver Reed film. I think it was The Damned Paranoid. Go up
Yeah,
4.
yeah, that's it. I talked about that, didn't I? Because I said
Oh.
I was hoping to get that, and I still think the film that he's talking about is a different one. And I'll check that out, which I reviewed. Anyway, so, Tony, my parents had Emmerdale Farm filming at their business in the early 80s. They met Fraser Hines and Clive Hornby. I don't know Clive Hornby. And in 1996, some filming was done for Heartbeat at the same premises. Nick Berry.
Berry, yeah.
I never watched those. I never watched Heartbeat, so I don't know about them. I know that was set near Whitby, isn't it?
You've been bloody lucky because that's all my mum bloody watches. Bloody
I've never seen them.
Green grass and all that sort of shit.
And Emmerdale Farm, I remember my mum, but I never really watched it. She watched it, and it's all changed, and that was going way back.
Well, yeah, that was Annie Sugden and all of that.
All that I remember that, but it's not. They've changed the name. It's called Emmerdale or something.
It's just called Emmerdale. There's only one Sugden in it now.
Is there?
All the rest have died, gone on. The farm's now a village shop or something. You know?
It's Fraser Hines left it.
He left it.
Yeah, I thought he would do. Yeah.
Gave it to his brother, and his brother's dead, so that's it. So I don't know what's happened, really. I think he's still retired in Spain or something.
Oh, right. Listen to this. Was very pleasant to talk to. That's Nick Barry. Me and my father had a background role as extras. Wow, that is interesting as extras. Wow.
The thing I will say about Heartbeat, even though I poo-poo it, and I poo-poo it because I can't understand why my mum watches it every day or something on one of the channels, right? The drama channels. And it comes round again to the very first one again, and she goes, I can't remember this. I go, bloody hell!
Oh.
What do you mean? It was only on 2 months ago. They've gone round again. It's the beginning when it gets. I can't remember it though.
How many years was Heartbeat on for them?
Oh, about 10, I think.
So were they stuck in the same year all the time?
In the 60s, it's all 60s.
Yeah. Because I know the music, isn't it? I suppose that they keep playing.
Yeah, it's 50s and 60s. It's all the shadows and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You wouldn't be doing psychedelic Jimi Hendrix stuff or...
towards the end they do. That's what I mean. When you get to about 68, 69, that's when you start getting...
Yeah. You can imagine Copper saying, hey, God, he looks like a villain. His hair's too long.
I think I remember hearing the Doors a couple of times, so they might actually go to the
Doors. Wow. Anyhow, if you need to go now, I think we're at the end now of all the comments.
Oh yeah, I'll stay to the end. I'm not going to go.
We are now.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to everybody.
I used to watch Heartbeat every week. Loved it. Some was filmed in Otley. By Otley. Oh, I love Otley. It's a beautiful place. Yeah, Otley, which Ian will be familiar with, I think. Yeah, when we used to go on.
I thought about you this weekend. They were celebrating the 1974 Eurovision Song Contest, and that was done in Yorkshire. Wasn't it? Near Leeds.
Harrogate. Yeah, Harrogate. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I must admit, the Eurovision Song Contest, I watched it that year, I remember, with ABBA, when ABBA won it.
Yeah.
But it was so boring, the Eurovision Song Contest. I really stopped watching it. And Cliff Richard and who else? Lulu, was it? And people like that.
That's 1971 and 71.
Yeah. I remember sort of that, and then I just kind of gave up on it. It used to go on all Saturday night, and mind it still does, doesn't it? I don't know. I think that might be it. Trouble is, I can still remember them. Give them a few years sound, and I'll forget.
That's Heartbeat.
18 years of it, and never got past 1969. Oh, so they were stuck in a time loop. 1969 back again.
If you come to our house, you'd think we were in Groundhog Day, I tell you.
Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you. Well, thank you, Tony.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, hear the irony of that.
You're still here. But thank you, Tony, for saying. And yeah, you've certainly got a lot of knowledge. That yeah, I'm very impressed. And as a fellow Yorkshireman, well, it's Reet Grand, and thank you so much.
Reet Grand.
And there we are. So thank you, everybody who's watched this live stream, and thank you, Delboy. Wait a minute, I've got somebody else going then. No. Oh, Danny Dukes, have a great one. Yeah, thank you, Danny. At least you popped in, and thank you, Danny. Yeah. I'm sorry, as I say, that I said I was on at 8 o'clock, but StreamYard was actually down.
StreamYard's fault.
It was StreamYard's fault. And we probably might have finished a bit earlier, or perhaps we wouldn't. We never know. Anyway, hope you'll enjoy. And I'm sure we'll be back again, probably same time, same back channel again next week.
I'm around. Yeah, I really am. I love it. I love chatting like this. Yeah, Ian's such a great bloke to talk to. It's so nice.
Well, I just love it's memories feed memories, if you see what I mean. They do. Yeah, so I think, oh, crikey. Anyway, I could go on for hours. So thank you, everybody. If you haven't subscribed to Delboy, please subscribe to Delboy, because we think it still just needs one to get 200. And if we can get 200 and then a couple more after that, we'll be all happy. We'll be happy. Yeah. And then we start again towards.
And then next month, 10 lose interest.
Yeah. Just keep liking him and make comments on these film reviews and say, oh, we could do with them a bit more often. But I know he finds it difficult with time. I understand that.
I don't know. I reckon I've done pretty well. I've done 5 in the last about 5 weeks. I've done 1 a week, I think, if I work it out.
That would be great. We'd love that. We'd love that. We need one. And I'm sure he's got plenty of films he could talk about. Anyway, I'm going on, but thank you so much, everybody. And take care. And I'll see thee again. There we are. I think it's